Meteorologist in here, interrupt me if something comes out on the National Weather Service chat.
Well, they're just talking about that will be extended if the current trends continue.
Okay, Huntsville, yeah.
Estimated arrival time right now for Western Lauderdale County would be like 2:45-ish. So if trends continue, you will be put under a tornado warning there in Waterloo
Gotcha.
and far western Lauderdale County.
So this is the tornado watch itself is pretty much a heads up, and this is even more of a heads up. You've got this tornado warning just off to your west. The shear rate inside that storm probably not as impressive as it was a few minutes ago when it was actually putting down the tornado, but overall it's maintained itself. So again, we've got a long track storm here that's moving through, especially on the south side of Corinth right now. And we've got a storm tracker down here, Brad Arnold. He's in the Burnsville area. I think he's probably approaching that storm right now from the southwest, so we'll actually get some ground truth from him coming up as well. But overall, velocity continues to show the possibility of definitely looking at a storm that's probably producing a wall cloud here as it's moving off to the east. So let's put a storm track on this. I'm actually going to stop the radar here, and we're going to put this track, and we're going to take this basically in this fashion here. It's moving northeast at about 45 miles per hour, so we'll go about 42 here. And you can see the track here. It's going to take it right across the northwest corner here, and it's going to be close for you folks in Central Heights as you go out towards Stewartville and Cypress Inn, right up here along the Tennessee state line. But again, right now the Corinth area, especially on the south side of town, that's where we have a possible tornado with this storm. And it's also a possibility that's kind of reorganizing. We've got the tornado kind of recycling through. And with these long track storms, you can get this tornado that'll be on the ground for say 10, 15 minutes, and then another tornado will form. And that's why sometimes when we have these storm surveys, it looks like it's skipping, but it's actually cycling through different tornadoes here. So again, the Walnut Grove area around 252. It's in Farmington right now, pretty much moving in there. That's just to the east here of Corinth. So this is a heads up here. If you live in a mobile home and you live out here in areas in and around Waterloo, I would definitely take this time. And we said this the last couple of days, you're going to get plenty of warning with the storms we have today. So this is that warning here. This is the 35, 45-minute heads up. If you live in a mobile home here north of Waterloo, say out here towards County Road 14, County Road 3, anywhere along the state line, and you get County Road 1, I would be thinking where you're going to go. And now's the time to be going to a safer place. Again, if you live in a mobile home, as these storms are approaching, they're tracking to the east and northeast. And the way this one looks, it's looking a little more ominous here. Again, this storm is kind of detached from these other storms, and we've got other storms developing all along this line. As we take a look down here to the south, much more impressive lightning here with this storm moving towards Amory, and that one eventually tracks towards Hamilton and perhaps into Lawrence County, and it'll take a while to get there. So we're probably looking at 2 hours before that threatens Lawrence County. So that puts us around 4 o'clock, and I mentioned 4 o'clock. That's kind of the window where we're expecting the height of this severe weather. So let's kind of go here, and I'm going to show you the future radar here, and I'm going to also show you on here, it's possible we're going to have some of these helicity tracks, we call it. So this takes you up to 245, maybe a little ahead of schedule here. I'm going to go ahead and take that down. But what we're looking at, it's 220 right now. So this area of storms is what we're going to have to watch ahead of this main line of storms. So as we get going, notice these tracks here. This is what I was talking about. These are helicity tracks. This is where the model guidance says the enhanced shear and possible mesocyclones within these storms here. And notice how they're approaching the Huntsville metro area between 3 and 4 o'clock. So these are the ones we're going to have to keep a real close eye on. They could develop fairly rapidly. You notice that track here takes it southeast of Decatur towards Priceville. Another track up here as you get in the northwest of Bridgeport. Also up here, Meridianville to the west toward out Winchester Road, northeast of Buckhorn High School. We're going to have to watch the Newmarket area. And then this area here kind of showing up around 345. That's another thunderstorm that we're monitoring out west currently in Mississippi. As we continue to go forward in time here, notice another track developing down here. This is going to be southeast of Huntsville. We're going to have to watch this for Joppa and Arab. and eventually in towards Gunnersville. Notice the time here. This is around 4:30 to 5 o'clock, so still a good 2 hours away from that. But that is concerning there. That and this other one approaching Smith Lake. So the longer these tracks, the more concerning it is. Let's go ahead and take a look farther down here to the south. You get in around Tuscaloosa. See, we've got all these tracks here that are showing up. So the worst of the weather is yet to come. And we'll continue to watch this. I'm going to go ahead and move this forward and see this area here north of Albertville, just southeast of Gunnersville, moving into DeKalb County around 5:45, 6 o'clock, and that continuation near Winchester, north of Chattanooga, and also that track over here in and around Florence towards Killen and Rogersville. So plenty of things that we're concerned with today, especially as we go forward in time. Again, this is one of those storms that we were just looking at that was showing up in the forecast guidance as it moved farther to the east. So is this one here, just off to the southwest of New Albany and just due west of Baldwin. This one's most likely going to go towards Cherokee, and they may move a little bit more to the east with time. I'm going to stretch this out. And you notice a lot of what I just showed you really isn't showing up on the radar yet. So it's possible we're just going to see this development here over the next hour that's going to ramp up rather rapidly. What kind of questions are we getting on social media?
Haven't had a real chance to be monitoring
Okay.
that just yet. Sorry about that, Brad.
That's
Kind of
all
been
right.
going back and forth, letting production know that we might have to break in here at some point. They're getting everything set up back
Okay.
there. Also trying to share your feed to my Facebook feed as well.
I gotcha. Yeah, so what we're watching is this storm here. This is a nasty storm here. This is along Highway 72 as you go from the Burnsville area into Corinth, and a lot of you take this route if you're going over to Memphis or you're going to Tunica, for instance. But this is a nasty storm. It's tracking more east-northeast. I'm going to go ahead and stop the loop here, and then we're just going to put on this barren shear skit here. This storm here, this is the latest on it. The hail threat really isn't going to be as high this afternoon. It's only got about a 4 on the Barron Tornado Index, so that is some good news, even though it is rotating, may not be producing a tornado at this time, but the shear is close to 70 miles per hour. Hail threat about 40%, maybe half-inch hail with this particular storm, and that's not really considered to be severe hail. But the worst part of that storm is going to clip right across the northwest part of Lauderdale County. And as we take another look here at the velocity data, it's fairly broad rotation, what we mean by that. And when we talk about that, what we're looking at is the potential here that we're looking at the development. I want to go on tornadoes on radar here, and what we look at is this velocity pattern. And what you're going to see here is, when I talk about broad rotation, we're looking at a big separation here. Now, all thunderstorms rotate. There's a lot of wind shear out there today, and basically we get into the weak rotation, and then what you're really looking for is this here, the really strong rotation. We had that earlier, about 15, 20 minutes ago. And what also we're going to be looking at is what we call the supercell. These thunderstorms are the more dangerous ones. They're separated from everything out there. And with the supercell, you're typically going to get a shape like this. And you get what's called the hook echo down here to the south. And that's where the tornado is. And in this case, that's also what we call a debris ball, because what's happening is if the tornado is developing, it's on the ground, it's picking things up, and those objects are easily seen by the radars. And if you get like metal, it's got tin in it, and it reflects the radar energy a little bit more. Then you get the large hail on the northern side, and on the leading edge, you also get some isolated damaging wind gusts. So that's one thing we'll watch. The other thing, you don't want to be too connected to exactly where the tornado is forming. You also want to notice the area to the south and west. So I'm going to switch remotes here again. What you're watching here is as we look at the inflow into these tornadoes, into these circulations. These can reach speeds of 100 miles per hour with a really strong tornado. And as a possibility, we could see a few strong tornadoes. I don't think this is a storm producing a strong tornado right now, but it could drop a tornado any minute, really, with the rotation that's starting to pick up once again. But what we're talking about is the inflow into that storm, particularly the Tuscaloosa tornado back April 27, 2011. There were trees, just trees for miles down, and it wasn't from the tornado, it was from the inflow into that storm. So I just want to keep that in mind as we track the showers and storms across the area. So once again, tornado warning right up to the state line here with Mississippi, and we'll continue to watch these showers and storms as they approach from the west. But I do want to get back down here a little bit farther southwest. That's really the only storm we've got going on that's of concern, at least in the immediate area. Of course, the one down here that's producing quite a bit of lightning approaching Amory, Mississippi, but that one pretty much looks like it's all towards the radar. So we take a look at the shear rate here, and I'm actually going to take the lightning off just so you can get a better view. Sometimes there's so much lightning, and that'll be another indicator of the severe thunderstorms. There's going to be a lot of lightning, so we'll have to turn the lightning off in order to show it better. So we've got this tornado warning. The one to the north, the tornado warning expired for that. They did not continue that, and we continue to monitor this storm here for a possible tornado. Once again, as this storm approaches from the west, if you have a mobile home, now is going to be the time to get out of it, especially if you're right across the state line, just to the north of Pickwick Lake. This is going to have a big impact, regardless of whether it's a tornado or not, still on the ground with Smith Lake. And yeah, we've just got enough rotation here to be concerned about. What's happening is the wind is going in this direction. Let me get the right marker there. The wind, we've got wind coming going away from the radar, and then right on the backside, wind going towards the radar. So just a little bit of rotation right there, but it's been weakening. It's been dropping a little bit, and it may be because it's moving away a little bit from some of that instability. It's running into some of the rain-cooled air. So as we go back here to radar, I'm going to switch, go over to high top. Again, the GWX, because that's high top. So what we're looking at is a long way from that radar site. And even this look here, it just doesn't, the rotation's more in the mid-levels, it looks like. So it's building the updraft. What we'd be looking for is new development on the southwest side of that particular storm there. So I'll put that into motion, kind of see over time. Again, it may be cycling through. The other storms down here to the south and west, a little more concerned down here, down towards Pontotoc. There's no lightning here with this storm moving towards Boonville, so that's good, but all the lightning is down here. And a lot of this lightning is indicative of the instability in this area in particular. So we want to watch that closely. Down towards Tuscaloosa, here's another thing we've been talking about. I mentioned it as early as that Facebook Live I did just after 11 o'clock this morning, is these thunderstorms here, they showed up in the model guidance. They could actually choke things off as far as the instability up here, and that would be really, really good news. So we've got students down here in Tuscaloosa keeping an eye on these storms back here to the southwest of Meridian, Mississippi. They've got tornado warnings. Those would currently take it south of Tuscaloosa, but there's new development back here just to the north of Meridian. Have to watch that. So again, there's just kind of in the waiting and the watching stages as it looks right now. So get back in here. I'm actually going to step off, and I'm going to see what questions you guys may have over there.
Yeah, and if you could hear us in back, if you could go over to First Alert 2, Max 2, we'll kind of just give people, a lot of people obviously on the feed asking what is the arrival time for where I live. Not much has changed. The line has slowed down just a little bit here, and that has pushed back some of the arrival times. Again, you can't see that on your screen. If anyone in back is monitoring the feed, we might have to route it ourselves.
What you got here?
Just weather 48.
Max 2?
Max 2, please.
All right,
yes.
there it is.
All right, thank you. All right, now this should be coming up on your screen. Here's the storm timeline. So basically now we're already seeing that activity. That tornado warning butts up right to the state line of Mississippi and Alabama, mainly up to far western Lauderdale County, that being Waterloo. But the red area here now to 4 p.m. And this is where we'll really be watching for any of those isolated supercells popping up to our west and southwest into parts of Mississippi right now. Looking at some of the ingredients we have in play, it looks like we've got dew points in Mississippi anywhere from 65 to 70 degrees. For February standards, that is more than enough moisture to work with. We do have this tornado watch. Again, all counties here in red in effect until 7 p.m. Now, northeast Alabama, I don't want you to let your guard down. You still have plenty of time to get your severe weather plan prepped and ready to go. I think you guys could see a lot of wind later tonight, and then eventually a flooding threat as locally heavy rainfall will rush in right behind the severe weather threat, and that could continue from late this evening, overnight, into the early morning hours of your your Friday morning. Temperatures also falling very fast. It will be right back to winter coats by the time we wake up tomorrow morning. Now, we're going to give you some of the meteorology 202, 203. So it's 2:30 right now, and we're looking at the thunderstorm energy, the convective available potential energy for all those weather enthusiasts back at home, and basically gives us a look at the instability. Anything over 500, especially this time of year, will be capable of supporting strong to severe storms, especially supercellular storms, given how strong some of these updrafts would be. The stronger the updraft as well also brings a concern of potentially some larger hail into the mix. But the higher the number, the more unstable our atmosphere is. Unfortunately, these high numbers also lining up with the arrival time of this line of storms moving in from the west. And 2200 there in Moulton, out to 2660 in Russellville, 1180 in Florence. Again, this is joules per kilogram to get very specific. But as that line continues to push through, we mentioned that it has slowed down, and with some of that model data compared to what we were looking at last night and even this morning for that matter, we moved the timeline back a little after the morning newscast just based on some of the model trends. But look at these numbers, anywhere, almost everywhere over 500. Now, the storm mode also will get a bit more messy. Once it starts to spread out more, instead of being more linear in nature, we tend to generally see a weakening trend, but also an increasing threat of seeing some flooding. And then another product that we're going to show you here in 1 second is going to be the EHI, and this is basically that CAPE, that thunderstorm fuel that I just showed you, also factored in with wind shear. Now, oddly enough, this setup is kind of the opposite of what we see this time of year. We've got high CAPE and not a lot of shear, but something we're watching. And when the EHI is anywhere over 1, you have the potential of seeing rotating storms like we're seeing already to our west. And as this starts to move through and you see that orange color starting to spread out a little bit, that's when we start to see that higher tornado threat. Again, this is 3 o'clock now, and you're looking at your screen right here, 3 o'clock. So that is about 30 minutes from now as that line is potentially crossing over into northwest Alabama. And we've got that EHI anywhere from 2.5 to close to 3, and then progressing eastward as we head through the rest of the afternoon and evening. I'm going to go ahead and switch back the routing source before I forget, Brad. So radar will be hot right now on the screen, or Prod Ultra.
Yeah, Prod Ultra.
Prod Ultra.
Yeah, I think that's what they had.
That is the one right there. All right, here's our...
And Chelsea and Jeff, I don't think we're going to be able to show you guys.
Hold on, here's our tornado warning, Brad.
Tornado warning?
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and break into programming. And just let us know.
Brad, do you want us to try to get behind the weather center or too many?
Well, I mean, now you probably can.
You can?
Yeah, it's just on social media.
Got it.
All right. Well, good afternoon. We're going into continuous coverage. We've got a tornado warning that's been issued for northwest Lauderdale County. This does not include Florence or the rest of the Quad Cities, but your tornado sirens may be sounding right now because it may be county-wide sirens. And again, some areas have technology where it only sounds in what the polygon has, and that's this area here in far northwest Lauderdale County. So what we have is a storm that has been kind of fluctuating over the last 20 minutes. We've been monitoring this on social media, and we're there right now. You can catch us there. You can catch us on our website. You can catch us on our 48 News and Weather app. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Fire Stick. You can catch us just about anywhere you have a streaming device. Again, I say that because you may lose power. You may lose your satellite signal. You may lose the broadcast here, so I want you to make sure that you have another way to get the broadcast. We've got a storm approaching northwest Lauderdale County, and as it moves in, there's a lot of lightning. There's probably going to be some dark clouds, really dark shelf cloud here ahead of this as it's moving in from the west. So we get just off to the northwest of Waterloo, and as we were mentioning, you need to be getting out of your mobile homes here. This storm is approaching at 45 miles per hour. Let's take a look at the velocity here. And continue to show a possible tornado developing. Again, this gets fairly far from the radar site, so we're seeing up higher in the atmosphere. That's where the possible tornado is within the storm, and regardless of whether it's got a tornado or not, it's still capable of producing damaging winds. So that's what you're really protecting yourself from, is the damaging wind here within this storm. Let me put a storm track on this storm. I'm going to put it on the entire area here, because anywhere within that circulation we could have the tornado developing. So taking this out about, actually,
It is 40 though.
It is 40,
Yep.
yeah. That would take it more east. So I want to take it a little bit farther here to the east and northeast as we follow this track here right across the northwest corner of the state. So let's go about 37 to 40 miles per hour. This puts it in the Cypress Inn area around 324, and right now it's 235. May get there a little bit sooner, probably around 320. Walnut Grove just after 3 o'clock. Again, this is going to stay north of Stewartville unless it turns to the right, and I say that because overall, this is really close to the front, and it could start to turn a little bit more to the east. Lightning's picking up on the northern storm here as you get up into southern middle Tennessee as well. So let me get back out so we don't get tunnel vision here. But what's going on is we've got a line of thunderstorms. We've got some individual storms that aren't quite attached to the entire line, and with that, they have a little bit more energy here. So we're watching that storm here. Let's get in closer, street level here, and we'll take a look as we get in. This is going to be north of Grovelly Springs, moving right over Pickwick Lake, by the way, and a danger out there to boaters. A lot of wind out there, too. So really, overall, not a really good day to be on the boat anyway. So as we get in closer here, this is just going to be on the north side, more like County Road 14, and then you get into County Road 1, County Road. Again, this is a fairly sparsely populated area, but if you know this area, you know exactly where you are here on this map. You get on the north side of Smith Lake, north of Waterloo. Again, Waterloo, your winds are going to pick up as this storm comes in, because what's going on is, regardless of whether there's a tornado, there's a really strong inflow of wind coming into this storm, and then on the leading edge of the outflow, you're going to get a really strong wind coming in from the west. So that's what you're basically protecting yourself from. Damaging winds coming in with this storm, a lot of lightning, and as far as the hail goes, we haven't had a lot of hail with this. As we zoom in, there's just not a lot of hail today, but you could see half-inch size hail with some of these stronger thunderstorms. So again, tornado warning for northwest Lauderdale County up into southern middle Tennessee in the Walnut Grove area for the possibility of a tornado. Now I'm going to take a look here. We're going to go ahead and click that and see what 80% chance of hail, maybe I would say more likely looking at half-inch hail with this. This is called the Barron Tornado Index. It goes from 1 to 10, and it's at 3.9 right now. So we'll have to watch that as far as any intensification within that. But right now, the threat of an imminent tornado, it looks a little limited right now, but again, as I mentioned, we're looking fairly high up in the upper atmosphere at this thunderstorm here as it's moving into the northwest corner of the state. So I'm going to take another look at radar here. Storm moving east-northeast, picking up the wind. While we're on here, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other storms. These are all intensifying as well, and those are moving off to the northeast. So down the road, we're talking a possible threat here into Russellville. And coming up in just a few minutes, I'll have Eric Burke. He's going to put a storm track on this storm area from Pontotoc down here just to the west of Amory. These are starting to show a little bit of circulation just based on the reflectivity here of what we've got going on. Now, outside of all this, I do want to circle an area we've been monitoring. The air is becoming more and more unstable right here from Smith Lake up to Russellville and Moulton. So any of these storms, if they break off of that main line and start tracking east, and we could possibly have additional storms develop out ahead of this, those would rapidly become severe just due to the environment that's out here just off to the west. So overall, no threat right now imminent from the I-65 area to the south, and for that matter, down towards Smith Lake. Quick look at down here towards Tuscaloosa. I just want to update you down here. They've just got some rain. They are under a tornado watch, and overall, these storms are approaching Birmingham. They are not severe, but there are other severe storms developing with tornado warnings back here just to the southwest of Meridian. And these are the storms we're going to watch as we go through time, because the model guidance has been suggesting those are probably going to be the more intense storms. But looking at the current environment, we really need to watch these storms here from Pontotoc down just to the west of Amory, tracking east-northeast. Also, this storm here in and around just New Albany to Boonville, that's making more of an east-northeast track that may threaten Cherokee here within the next 45 minutes to 1 hour. We're probably about an hour and a half away from storms threatening Muscle Shoals, Florence, Tuscumbia, and Sheffield. Eric's got that storm track for you. We're going to go to meteorologist Eric Burke.
All right, thank you, Brad. Over here in the 48 Weather Center, important to note that that tornado warning that we're watching that's moving out of Corinth now into parts of western Lauderdale County, that did have a confirmed tornado on it. We saw the debris showing up on radar. That was earlier before we even started our Facebook live stream. Again, catch us wherever you are. We're now on YouTube as well. Brad mentioning these storms farther off to the south and to the west out here from Pontotoc down to Amory, tracking northeast. Now, if we say this is keeping up at the same speed as the northern part of the line, roughly 40 miles per hour. I've extended the storm track out an hour and a half, so 90 minutes from now. And we've got, Red Bay was on there a second ago, but we've got Hackleburg at 3:49, the Russellville community right around 4 o'clock. Of course, that's when our newscast would start. Obviously, if we're in continuous coverage, we'll just keep it going from there. And Brad was just about spot on, saying about 90 minutes from now, these storms potentially tracking off into the Florence, Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals area. Again, this is 90 minutes now. If this line starts to speed up, obviously that arrival time will start to change here. If you're just catching up, and just joining us actually, and maybe you haven't been paying attention to the news today, we do have a tornado watch. All of these counties here in red. This is in effect until 7 o'clock. Notice Northeast Alabama not included in that watch there, but you may be added later on. But the more significant and imminent threat right now is likely going to be along and west of Interstate 65. Some of you still have time. The evening commute will start to pick up here if you can. Maybe you're watching us at work right now and you're going to be traveling sometime between 4 and we'll say 7, 8 o'clock. That is not going to be an ideal time to be on the roadways. We'll go back to that active tornado warning right now. We do start to see a little bit of beam blockage here coming off of the Columbus radar, unfortunately, due to some trees they have out there in Mississippi, and that's why the radar doesn't look as clean as it did just a couple of minutes ago. But again, if you are in the Waterloo area out toward Pickwick Lake, this is headed your way here, moving east-northeast about 40 miles per hour. So this would be the most accurate track on that. We'll put that storm track on, and not seeing anything imminent or anything new coming out of either Memphis's chat room covering the storms off to our west that are now moving eastward into a fairly unstable environment. We've got the dew point in the 60s at the moment, and that is more than enough, especially here in mid-February, to support some additional storms. Watching for development ahead of this main line too. That can't be ruled out. We could potentially see some supercells as well starting to pop up too. Brad?
All right, good information there. Again, we're pretty far away from the radar site that's in Mississippi looking to the north, so it's possible we have a smaller tornado here that may be kind of touching down, lifting, and then touching back down. But the storms west of there definitely warrant watching. But I do want to talk more about weather safety here. We talk about seeking shelter. If you're in a mobile home, you need to be getting out of there, especially if you're in that polygon. So what we're looking at here is the problem with mobile homes is even if you've got that what's called the skirting here on the sides of the mobile home, that's going to blow off with probably a 60-mile-per-hour wind. It only takes 80-mile-per-hour winds to take that mobile home and make it airborne. We've had so much rain too, and in some cases, even these mobile homes are staked down. Even if they're staked down properly, they can still come loose if we get these winds above 80 miles per hour. So you need to plan ahead, and that goes for all of you well out in advance of this line of storms. You need to be watching areas to your west because that's where the storms are coming from, and they're all going to be moving at 40, perhaps as high as 45 to 50 miles per hour. So again, leave your mobile home. Maybe you have a detached garage that has a better, more adequate shelter there. And even if we're not dealing with a direct tornado, there's still enough wind in that storm to knock some of these big pine trees over as well. So your home could become airborne, as I mentioned earlier, and find adequate shelter. Maybe you're in an apartment. If you're in an apartment, it all depends on what level of that apartment you are in. The higher you are within that apartment, the higher the wind speed is going to be too. So you want to get to the lowest level, find an enclosed small room, no windows. You want to stay away from the windows. tornadoes, avoid the large rooms because it's the smaller rooms that can hold more weight, and those are the ones you want to be in. And again, the interior stairwell, you get underneath that, that's a safe place. A lot of times there's a closet, just a space-saving thing. You got a closet there. Stay off of the elevator if you happen to have an elevator in your apartment. If you're at a business, I mentioned this on our YouTube channel, a lot of these local businesses will have a walk-in cooler, even a convenience store, and that's where some people, again, the thing is, those local businesses have a plan. They are ready. So if you have to go to a local business, they will have a place for you. Avoid large rooms. Interior stairwell is good. And once again, stay off the elevator. If you're at, say, in a basement, the basement represents different problems here, especially depending on what's above the basement and even a walkout basement. That walkout basement can actually accelerate the wind. If it blows the windows out, it has really nowhere to go. So get under something sturdy, a helmet to protect your head, cover your head and neck. Again, those are the most vital things because when it comes to tornado fatalities, most of the time it's related to blunt force trauma as you're picked up by the wind. So again, don't get below the heavy objects, appliances above big refrigerator, a piano, a fireplace, and the chimney on that. That becomes a problem as well. And as we talk about crawl space, I myself have a crawl space here. As a kid, I'd go under the house, but the older your house is, the more susceptible it could be if the tornado doesn't completely take the house. It could twist it, and that could cause the foundation to crumble as well. So interior hall or closet is still a good place there. Prepare for falling debris, and as I mentioned earlier, foundations can crumble. And last but not least, in a vehicle. That's probably the worst place to be, but you may find yourself with no other option if you're out. And this may include later today, down the road, if you're in it, don't seek shelter under an overpass. It does the same thing that I mentioned about the walkout basement. It can actually accelerate the wind. So you need to find adequate shelter. If the tornado is imminent, and that you see the trees falling in front of you, you got to pull to the side of the road, put the vehicle in park, and duck underneath the dashboard, under the windshield, and cover your head and neck. So again, those are just some safety tips there for you on where to seek shelter. And you should be doing that right now here if you live north of Waterloo with this tornado-warned storm. It's starting to show on the back edge here just a little bit of a bowing segment as well. That would indicate not only a tornado threat, but just high winds in general. I'm going to go back over here, and we're going to talk more about these storms back here just off to the southwest. Actually southwest of Boonville. It's getting a little more intense here. This storm here, going to go ahead and push that button there on there. That is moving, actually that says it's moving east-northeast at 59 miles per hour. So some of these are going to pick up in speed a little bit. But overall, continuing to watch these storms here. That one has a higher chance of hail than the storm up here moving towards Waterloo. BTI, Barron Tornado Index, still around 3, so nothing's really peaked. And as Eric mentioned, we did have that confirmed tornado with the storm here northwest of Waterloo about 30 minutes ago. And that was before it even made it through Corinth, Mississippi. So again, that's that storm there. On that path, it's probably going to turn a little bit more to the right. So that storm is going to threaten Cherokee here over time. So we're going to have to watch that very closely as well. So overall, getting down here farther to the south, severe thunderstorm warning, kind of a unique situation here. You got this entire line here. Nothing's really breaking off, but I will tell you, this storm here on the southern edge here, that storm moving towards Amory, eventually Hamilton, perhaps Hackleburg. We'll have to watch this to see if it kind of breaks off of that line. Eric?
And what's interesting there is how north-south that's oriented
Exactly.
there, with the whole line being kind of more northeast to southwest. Monitoring our comments, again, we are on Facebook, wherever you stream. We are now officially streaming on YouTube as well, so you can catch us, especially if you happen to lose power at your home. Also, the 48 weather app, such a great tool to have. You could track things right there on the radar. Also, watch our streaming coverage. We have the active tornado warning here for far western Lauderdale County, including Pickwick Lake and also Waterloo. But a lot of people asking, hey, what about my town? It's coming my way. When will it arrive? When do I need to start thinking about taking shelter? Well, I can tell you right now, you should be thinking about where am I going to shelter? You don't have to necessarily go there right now, but where is my safe spot? Some of you have to travel. whether you're going to a family member, a relative of some sort, a friend down the road, they have maybe a better setup for sheltering. That's something you have to factor in. Once you're in that polygon, it may be too late. But this is if it's moving at 50 miles per hour. The tornado warning storm, that was moving around 40. Brad showed you this part, moving a little faster at 60 miles per hour. This is kind of a combination of the two. We compromise, we'll say 50 miles per hour, and this will be crossing over the state line. We've got Russellville here and Muscle Shoals, actually Florence and Muscle Shoals, 334 to 338. We've got Russellville here at 352, the Hatton community, 4 o'clock. All the way into Limestone County, Athens there, right along I-65, 421. Then we go out to Decatur and Morgan County, 435, and Huntsville, 451. So we were talking about that line maybe slowing down a bit. This is within the timeline we shared with you dating back to last night. So this shouldn't come as a surprise to any of us. We'll be watching for additional development, especially off to our west and southwest. And that's where we still have a very unstable atmosphere, and we're starting to hit our most unstable part of the day, our peak daytime heating. We've got air temperature right now in the 70s. We've got a dew point in the mid 60s, and we've got a strong breeze out of the south. And that's where you kind of get that speed shear and also that wind shear. That's wind changing direction with height. Just adds to the rotation, especially interacting with this line of storms right now.
And Eric and Brad, if we could go ahead and take Jeff and I over here. This is what we call the Elmon. We are monitoring that other area that we were talking about. This is in portions of Mississippi. This is towards New Holka, also Houston. If we go ahead and just track the radar here, this is going to be with our velocity product. We are noticing some areas trying to tighten up near Houston, also portions of New Holka. This is some wind speeds. We don't necessarily have a rotational couplet just yet, but just looking at the National Weather Service in Memphis, they are watching portions of this. And this is important to watch because these areas are going to be headed our way not too long from now, moving northeast. Again, this is going to be heading towards portions of Marion County, potentially also Franklin County. So we're going to be watching areas close across the state line, including Red Bay, Vina, portions of Belmont there. We'll keep you updated. Again, no rotational couplets just yet, but there is still a lot of gusty winds, even though no rotational couplets. Jeff, if there's anything you would like to add, this is a big area for a severe thunderstorm warning. You usually don't see areas this big. You do with lines like this, but yeah, Jeff, if there's...
I think what you have to watch out for, too, is this slide is already showing that it has severe weather, but as it moves across the state line, it's moving into an area that is very sultry right now, and the ingredients are there for these storms to really fire up. And once they cross the state line from Mississippi into Alabama, things could really fire up as you work your way bound towards like Franklin County, and it could happen very quickly. And that's why it's always so important to have that plan in place like we've been talking about all day, because even though the storms are still off to the west, as they move closer and they do strengthen, you know, you have that potential for strong winds and also tornadoes and large hail and the heavy rainfall, and it can happen very quickly. And keep in mind, too, the entire valley is under the gun with thunderstorms, and we're going to be tracking this as we go into the afternoon and evening. So even if the storms are off to the west and you think you're in Huntsville, you have plenty of time. Start making those preparations now, as those storms will start to continue to move closer to some of the more bigger cities in the Tennessee Valley right now.
Yeah, Jeff, that's one of the things we've been having to do, and somebody even commented on Twitter. They're like, well, you've changed the timing of this, must be 4 or 5 times so far, and that's what we have to do. You have to keep fine-tuning, and we're finally reaching that height of the maximum instability and pretty much go time here. So what we're watching now, what I put a storm track on, this storm here does not have a warning, but this storm is becoming more dangerous. In fact, it's got more lightning and probably more wind than the storm north of Waterloo right now. And by the way, speaking in northwest Lauderdale County, you still need to be sheltered there for at least the next 10 to 15 minutes before that storm moves away from you. But down the road here, again, your sirens may be sounding here in Florence. This storm here is approaching from the west at about 45 miles per hour. So I put this storm track, St. Florian around 409, 411 in Sheffield, Tuscumbia around 412, Muscle Shoals 414, and Killen around 416. And then down the road, we're talking about Rogersville, near Anderson, a lot of lightning, a lot of wind. So these storms right now are kind of on the up and up. They're increasing in intensity, and the storms are only going to get stronger as they move into this environment that's more favorable. So farther west here, Cherokee at 345, again, Florence 4:07. That's your heads up. Right now it's just before 3 o'clock. So we're talking about 45 minutes to an hour, but these storms could actually intensify and this forward speed could get stronger too. So as far as the storms I'm most concerned with as far as breaking out here is going to be this one here that's going to head towards Florence over the next 45 minutes to an hour, and the other one down here to the south. Again, the reason I'm more concerned with these is they're separating themselves from the other storms, and this whole cluster here is really nasty though, by the way, coming into Tupelo. So let's get back in here and take a look at the velocity inside of these thunderstorms, and you'll see why I'm a little bit more concerned here. Notice we've got the Boeing segments here south of Pontotoc, that is, and in and around Houston. This is all moving off to the east-northeast. So Russellville, Phil Campbell, Hackleburg, Hamilton, 45 minutes to an hour, and you may need to be seeking shelter with those storms. While we're on the velocity, let's take a look here at the Boonville area. It doesn't look as bad on velocity, but it is just developing a lot more lightning. The lightning continues to intensify up here in Waterloo. I think what we're mainly seeing here now is more of what we call the wind shift line. We've got very broad rotation with this. So the winds basically, and the radar from this vantage point, it's going to be really hard to detect tornado from this particular storm since it doesn't have anything else that's really protruding from it. It doesn't have the hook echo, any classic signs like that. So the storm is rotating. It's probably producing some pea to dime size hail and a possibility of some isolated damaging wind gusts as this tracks off to the east-northeast. And I'm going to get street level here in just a second, but just kind of want to give you this point of view here. Very intense lightning west of Collinwood. We've got a bow echo segment here on the back of this storm too, so this should probably have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is the Nashville National Weather Service office warning area up here as you cross the state line, at least in this part of Tennessee. So all along this line up into Wayne County, I'd definitely stay away from your windows in Waynesboro, Collinwood, as this storm moves in. And I mentioned the Boeing segment here. Let me turn this lightning off once again, and I'll turn the loop off. What's going on is the storm has this Boeing. Whenever you get Boeing segments, it's likely that the wind in the upper levels is being forced down. So we have winds just above the ground at about 2,500 to 3,500 feet that are coming out of the southwest at about 50 to 60 miles per hour. So occasionally we get one of those strong wind gusts that'll come down with that. Let's expand the view here. Let's talk a little bit more of what's going on farther to the east as well. Turn the lightning back on. Probably a lot of comments on social media wondering, when's it going to get to my place, right? Huntsville, Albertville, Coleman, Gadsden, Fort Payne. It's likely going to be crossing I-65 between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. So we're maybe even closer to 5 o'clock. It's been slowing down pretty much all day long. One thing we'll watch is what's going to happen with this area down here to the south in Birmingham. And the model guidance, I will tell you, after 6:30, 7 o'clock, it really shuts off the instability. Let me draw this line here. And this is another reason you guys are not in the watch right now, is because as it pretty much goes past this line towards Lake Gunnersville, the instability goes down. It also coincides with the sun setting. So that's going to lower the instability. So if these storms that are fairly intense southeast of Tuscaloosa, as they move through Birmingham, if they somehow intensify, they'll build up a little momentum, and that lack of instability may not matter as much. Still a lot of wind energy with that. But right now, the most instability we have is right here from Florence to Russellville and up to Coleman and down into Morgan County. So as these storms approach, the ones moving into Tupelo now, as they move into this environment, they're likely going to intensify. So we have a limited window here as we go towards sunset. But all along this line, strong to severe thunderstorms continue. And as we go in here, we're going to get close again. The storms, this tornado warning continues, but
they're going to let it expire at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. So what's going to happen here, we're going to go back to your regular scheduled programming here at 3 o'clock. The tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire. I don't think it's even a severe thunderstorm right now, but they did actually continue a new tornado warning on the north side there up into Tennessee. But I think the storm we're going to have to really watch, and we're going to continue our coverage on all of our other digital platforms. We're just going to go away from the television broadcast. The storm to watch is this Boonville storm that's along Highway 45, and that one's intensifying. It's getting more lightning all the time. And again, that one is headed towards Cherokee. around 3:45. So I don't think we're done with the tornado warnings for the rest of the day. We're likely going to see additional warnings come out as these storms move to the east. So again, we got about 30 seconds here for our continuing coverage here. Let's get back here into southern Middle Tennessee as this storm continues to move northeast. I'll put one last storm track on it for you. I just kind of extend this up into southern Middle Tennessee for our viewers up in those areas that are able to see us. Again, we're going to be going on to our digital platforms. I'm going to take this out about 42 miles per hour. So again, this puts it north of Waterloo. I know you're in the polygon now, but the storm that they warned for, that part of it is well north of you right now. Walnut Grove 304, and then Cypress Inn right here along the state line. It may actually end up just a little north of you. That's going to be about 20 minutes from now. Your weather radio may go off. The National Weather Service in Nashville might issue a severe thunderstorm warning for this entire line of storms as it approaches. And it's possible they could continue that tornado warning. But from what we're seeing here from the next well, let's take another look here. It's tightening up a little bit more. It shows a little bit higher indication there. Let's see what the shear rate shows. That's still not very strong. You know, we're going to stay with this. Yeah, we're going to stay with this. We're not going to leave this at 3 o'clock just because the last scan here shows a possible tornado. I mean, we're way up in the air, but we get over here, notice the winds here. This storm has intensified. So we've got winds here. This is probably one of the strongest 67 mile per hour winds. Again, this is still fairly high in the air, but we've also got the winds. It doesn't really matter the speed here. It's the fact that we've got rotation here within this storm. You get up just to the north here. So again, we're going to stay with this until it gets completely out of the viewing area. Right now, just north of County Road 145, this is where we have our rotation up here.
And Brad, the National Weather Service did issue a special weather statement for that. They have wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. Is there any way you could do a pixel query to see how much winds we are getting in that area?
Yeah, I did that. It's about 65 miles per hour. Again, that's going to be just off the ground. So again, this is probably more intense than we've seen in the last 15, 20 minutes. Wouldn't you guys agree on that?
Yeah, I agree. Hitting it not necessarily at the base of it too. You are not in a tornado warning, but seeing some rotation in the mid-levels maybe of that storm. If we could hop over to First Alert 2, Brad's been talking kind of more about the southern part of that line, not necessarily that point of Lauderdale County there that did have the tornado warning, but we look at this. Thank you for putting that up full screen just so everyone gets a look. Again, this line, we're going to start to see that entering a more favorable atmosphere. We could see things ramping up. Important to note that
it's rotating now, the Boonville one.
I think we're going to start to see more of a line. We talk about those QLCS events, that individual supercell threat. I think that window is closing fairly quickly. Still can't be ruled out. But when that, there you go. Look at that, Brad.
Yep.
Right on cue, we've got a new tornado warning from Jumpertown there, just north of Baldwin, right along 45. That's tracking northeast. Now, that does not include any of our counties here, but we could take a look at that just before I get to that and zoom in closer to show you that rotation. Again, not in our viewing area. It does include Tishomingo and Iuka. I know some of you in northeast Mississippi can get our signal, but it'll be in the Cherokee area at 3:30, Belmont 3:34, Florence 3:48, Killen 3:55, and Littleville there at 4:06. That's tracking northeast at 50 miles per hour, so that will eventually cross over the state line. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that looks like it just popped up with the tornado possible tag. That's the Waterloo storm that we were just showing you with those 67 mile per hour winds and that rotation possibly tightening up. We'll go back to that in one moment. I just want to give you guys an early heads up that a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and a lot of lightning coming your way here. So now's the time. If you're in our western counties, Franklin, Colbert, and Lauderdale County, now is the time to start coming up with that plan as things are going to start to ramp up here. This is our peak daytime heating, the most unstable part of the day, and it's coming right now. So new tornado warning to our west, and we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning right here where we previously had the tornado warning up into parts of far western Lauderdale County. Go back and we'd still see that a little bit of rotation there north of Waterloo. So we'll be watching this very, very closely as it's crossing right along the state line, tracking east, probably about 40 miles per hour. At the very least, we could see some 50+ mile per hour winds with this, maybe as strong as 60.
Yeah, I think that Collinwood storm is probably severe too. It's just so far away from the radar, it makes it difficult. And the other thing that we want to watch here, we're going to stay on for this storm approaching you in Florence and Cherokee, even though you're not on that tornado warning, because the forecast guidance was showing a continuous track here, what we call the helicity track, through Florence, at least through the Colbert County, Lauderdale County area. So we're going to stay with that storm because it's right now it's our most dangerous storm coming in. What you're looking at is about an hour away from now. Don't be surprised if this is a little early. I just kind of want to give you the general idea here. Possibility we could see some new development in around Haleyville, tracking to the northeast towards Huntsville by 5 o'clock. But you can see how this line starts to come together over the next hour to hour and a half and continues to track to the east. And then there's some new development down here to the south of Coleman and Hanceville. We'll have to watch that as that approaches Albertville. Notice the clock. This is about 6 o'clock, and it's going to be dark by then. There's going to be a lot of lightning out there too. And if you lose power, one of the ways to know that the storm is you get a tornado warning and maybe you can hear the sirens off in the distance. If the lightning really picks up, it's going to be very intense. That's how you know that that storm is more likely to produce a tornado in today's environment. And so again, just giving you some heads up in case you lose all communication as these storms roll in, because it will be dark, and those are some of the worst situations to have to deal with severe weather. So as we go back here to the west, our severe thunderstorm up here continues to impress here. Again, the problem is it's so high above the ground here. What we're looking at, we don't know if there's a tornado or not. We don't have a real good indication. And the Collinwood storm is pretty much the same way. So I think there's, at the very least, damaging winds, probably some pea to dime size hail with the storm in Collinwood. And then we've got a possible tornado here with the storm. It's going to stay north of Waterloo, and it's going to stay north of Stewartville area. And this is going to be moving towards Cypress End. So heads up in Cypress End. Storm spotters should actually have a very good view of this since there's nothing else out here in the way. So let me go ahead and turn the other radar information on for you. So we're going to go back in and we're going to take a look at, actually we're going to go back to GWX and take a look at the normal radar data we're used to looking at. And you can just kind of see south of Walnut Grove, and we're already starting to see new development. Look how fast that developed right behind it. So again, this is filling in very, very quickly. The severe storm here, this one's kind of out on its own near Boonville, and this is the one Eric just had a storm track on. So about 45 minutes to an hour, moving from anywhere from Waterloo down to Cherokee. Possible tornado with this storm. So let's take a look at the velocity in there. And it's looking similar to what the other storm looked like. However, it's a little, I'm going to circle this, and then we're going to take a look again here. This area right here, I grab the pencil. It's on my thumb. That's why I didn't do it. So it's this area right here. So I'm going to change over and we're going to take a look and see where that overlaps. Yeah, it's kind of in one of those spots where we really want to watch it because it's kind of on the tail end of this thunderstorm overall. So I'm going to push off of this here and continue to move this area out here.
And the lightning's been pretty consistent with that.
It really has.
We haven't seen a huge spike with it, but when we do start to see that spike, that means tornado genesis maybe quickly starting to see some wrap up here. So watching that area very closely. Again, it doesn't really have much cutting off. So that inflow that Brad's been telling you about continues to zoom in. Haven't seen anything debris related with that. So
no.
Still just radar indicated, of course, but keeping a close eye. We do have Brad Arnold's feed, Brad. I don't know where he is right now, but at some point we will hopefully be able to show you.
Yeah, if we get a good shot from Brad, I'd like to show. I think he's probably right in this area here, because earlier he was in the Boonville area. Again, he's one of our storm chasers out there in the storm, keeping an eye on it for us. There's a live view there. That looks, let's see, we got the Fulton area. I think he's in the Boonville area. I think he's probably, in fact, I think from what I'm seeing here, I think he is just.
He could be just south of that, potentially.
I think he's right about here.
Can you read that sign? I can't see it.
Yeah, it says Fulton. I think that's Highway 23 and Highway 172. But I think he's probably positioned right about here, looking north into that storm. So, again, Brad Arnold, live view there. It's going to be, looks like 172, and that's the turnoff there to Iuka and Fulton. So that's the storm off to the north.
One more time, Zach, sorry.
Glenn, Mississippi,
yeah.
Okay.
So again, that Boonville storm that we are talking about too, the arrival time for the state line would be roughly 30 to 45 minutes. Again, this is not in our area. We are watching that area in Waterloo and right along the state line. I could go up to that too. Potentially some very strong winds with this. It's right there, and also checking out that small area where you see that beige color intersecting with some of the red. We just used that pixel tool, and it showed potentially 67 mile-per-hour winds. Now that's hitting it from the Columbus radar, so it's a little farther away. That's probably elevated and not necessarily at the surface. All of you that are chiming in on Facebook and the streaming, we appreciate your comments. Storm reports always very, very helpful to us as we justify what we're seeing here on the radar. So we've got an active tornado warning, one right over the state line. It's here in Tennessee. That's controlled by the Weather Service in Nashville. We've got the one that goes up to the state line between Mississippi and Alabama. It juts right up there to Colbert and Franklin County. That's controlled by the Weather Service in Memphis. Our active warning right now is only the severe thunderstorm warning here north and west of Waterloo, right along approaching Highway 157 and the Natchez Trace Parkway out there.
All right, yeah, Glenn is going to be northeast there. I think it's between Iuka and Burnsville, so he's probably in this area right in here, south of Iuka.
Probably why he pulled over.
Yeah, and again, the storm is approaching our storm spotter our storm chaser from the southwest. So he's probably on this highway south of Iuka and probably going to position himself to the south. Again, there's some rain here to the southwest, but this is not going to inhibit this storm. Very strong southerly winds into the storm here. Again, this is going to be crossing into Colbert County in about 35 to 40 minutes, and we'll likely see additional warning, at least a severe thunderstorm warning, and perhaps a tornado warning if this continues to develop. And the way it's developing, it's still not cranking out a possible tornado. And I think what's happening is the southern edge here, as we take another look at the velocity, it's bowing out here on the north side, so the tornado threat here looks like it's minimal now. I think it's kind of reforming back here on the southwest side. So it's possible we may see this tornado threat redevelop. Right now, I don't see a tornado developing with this storm. The thing that concerns us is the forecast model guidance about this time was tracking these helicity tracks all the way into northwest Alabama with these storms. So as we take a look at the radar, it's, again, this south side here that we're going to want to watch to see what's going on, to see if we get some development down here on the southwest side, the southeast side here of this storm, because that's probably more likely where we'll see a tornado with this. Instead of on the northern side, typically you're going to see, when you're looking at supercells, this is trying to take on that characteristic, and I'll kind of draw this in here for you. When we look at that, what we're looking at in general with this storm would be something shaped kind of like this. And what we're watching is the south side of the storm, because the north side, I think initially we just had the mid-level rotation, and that's what prompted the tornado warning. Because as these storms start to form and become supercellular, it's really hard to determine exactly where the tornado threat is when they're trying to get that advanced warning out. So right now, the area I'd be most concerned with would be new development down here. And notice that the wind's probably really picking up here out of the south as you get west of Tishomingo into the backside of the storm, while at the same time, we're probably, what's going to have to take place here for the tornado to form would be what we call a rear flank downdraft. The cold air, the hail core kind of, so to speak, even if it's small, would come back around this, and it's where this intersects that we would be looking at a possible tornado. So I think that's what's going on with this storm. It's still producing a lot of lightning, so that means it's got a really strong updraft, so it's not going to fade away anytime soon. As we go back to the shear rate, see what that, it doesn't show, it's mainly showing me a gust front here. We've got high wind, all going straight line wind here within this storm that's approaching, and what we're going to have to watch is what happens on the back side of the storm. And that's what wind shear does. Just a quick update here on our storm in the northwest corner of Lauderdale County. You can see most of the lightning here
They're
is
going to
now
drop the
over
warning.
the state line, yeah, because the circulation that we're concerned with right now is up into Tennessee. It's up into southern Wayne County, and a threat here, Collinwood, in and around Collinwood. As you get a little bit closer here on the Cypress Inn, we've talked about you quite a bit there, folks at Cypress Inn. So that's the area we'll watch for some new development, but that is moving away from us here in North Alabama, and that eventually will threaten the Lawrenceburg area, Collinwood, and just southeast of there. But it's all this new stuff that's firing up here just west of the state line that's starting to look uglier. Notice the tornado, a severe thunderstorm warning here. The storms are now away from it, so they're going to have to figure out if they're going to reissue severe thunderstorm warnings for that cluster of thunderstorms. And it just looks bumpy right now. You got a lot of wind riding across there, so this does not look all that severe right now from Tupelo just off to the west of Amory.
So once again, severe thunderstorm warning there for parts of Lauderdale County will expire here in 15 seconds. 3:15 on your Thursday, first alert weather day. Again, the area of most wind and rotation is now crossed over the state line. We are watching this right here. Obviously, that tornado warning. Some of you asking who needs to take shelter, and right now I would tell you no one does at this exact moment. But if you are out there in parts of Colbert County and even Lauderdale County on the northern part of this warned storm right here, I would start watching our coverage very intently, know where your safe spot is. But as of right now, no imminent threat at the moment, but this could change. We're watching exactly what's happening here to our west. Things could start to ramp up here very quickly as we head through the rest of the afternoon. So no active warnings for us at the moment. I'm not sure if we're going to stay with this on-air feed. We will keep our coverage going here on air, and then if we do tend to drop, we'll go over to our streaming services here. But Tishomingo and Iuka, you are in this tornado warning. The area of rotation seems to be a bit more broad, but we could get that rush of wind, kind of that outflow that Brad was trying to show you there, using some of the velocity tool. Just the signature on this doesn't look as clean as it initially was when that warning was issued. So we are monitoring the chat rooms out in Mississippi. The reason we went on TV was a tornado warning that did include parts of Lauderdale County. Then we had a severe thunderstorm warning with that. Notice the Nashville Weather Service also dropping that other tornado warning. A lot of you asking, what about my house? Well, we're going to answer that question right now. I'm going to pull back the camera here. I'm going to put a big, long storm track on this, and then we'll go over to Chelsea and Jeff, and they're going to talk about the tornado watch that we're under. They're going to talk about the future radar and show what things will look like over the next couple of hours here. But first, let's get you that storm track up here. It's going to be very long. It's going to go out, let's say, this is 2 hours. 2 hours if this is going at 50 miles per hour, which is roughly the current speed right now. So if you are in Red Bay, 340, the Florence area, that's around 353, Hackleburg 406, Hatton. Now we're starting to move into parts of Lawrence County. Now 420, Athens 439, Decatur out in Morgan County 446, Madison we're talking 5 o'clock now, still within that window, that initial storm timeline we showed you last night, and eventually toward Huntsville. Now this is likely going to change speeds. It could speed up, it could slow down. No active warnings for us. I'm checking over with them if they're ready to go. Feel free to jump in whenever. If not, I'm just going to take a closer look one more time at the velocity for this tornado warned storm right now out in Boonville. And again, right there, that tornado warning, you just saw it disappear off the screen, and that's because this was that area of rotation. It was tight initially. Now it's certainly broadened up. Now that doesn't mean that we don't have maybe some 30 to 40 mile per hour wind with this, but not showing the initial concern that it did. So tracking off to the northeast, and again, watching this, I measured it out. If you're in Red Bay, we're talking 4-ish, 4:15. So we'll send it over to meteorologist Jeff Denoyer and meteorologist Chelsea Aaron. Guys.
Yeah, Eric, we were talking about that storm that went all the way through Lauderdale County, some areas in Ripley. Now, if we want to go ahead and take you out on the map here, this essentially was where that storm started with a tornado warning. Again, Ripley, not in our area. That area is well off to our south, but we have gotten some viewer reports, also some confirmed reports from the National Weather Service in Memphis that there was damage to a side of a building. So again, that was with that confirmed tornado in Ripley that tracked all the way into portions of northwest Alabama, the very tip of northwest Lauderdale County. Still no issues right there. There is not an active severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning in that area. We now change our focus to Boonville, that area of rotation that we have been monitoring. And like Brad was mentioning, if there is going to be any rotation with this area, it is going to be what we call on the rear flank downdraft. Essentially, that is the far south portion of the storm. And I will say, I think we need to watch this feature here very closely. This is going to be in between what just updated Renzi and Boonville, this little line feature. If we get any notches in this could possibly spark rotation. This shows us that that rotation is getting much tighter. This is on our reflectivity. We're going to go over to velocity and just make sure we aren't seeing it tighten up. Again, very broad right now. If we were to have rotation, it would be in this area, but not seeing a tight couplet as of right now. We want to watch this closely, even though it's not in our area yet. It could be tracking to the northeast, moving into portions of Lauderdale, also Colbert County within the next 30 minutes or so. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. As of right now, we have really nothing else on radar, possibly some gusty winds moving into our southern middle Tennessee counties from that area of rotation we were tracking from Lauderdale County. But again, that has moved out of our area. No ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings. We're going to go back over and check with Brad, Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis.
Yeah, we're going to get back to your regular scheduled program. We're still going to be on digital, all our Facebook platforms. But again, we're keeping a close eye on these storms out here to the west. That tornado warning's been dropped, and notice the warnings, all of them dropped pretty much at the same time. So we're going to get back to regularly scheduled program, the Kelly Clarkson Show. But if anything concerns us, we will be jumping back on at a moment's notice. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
All right, back to Facebook.
Are we still going on Facebook Live?
Yes, we are
concurrently?
all right now on Facebook.
All right, I thought we were still here.
Programming is on.
Okay.
We are.
All right. Okay,
Yeah,
so
sorry, I
we're here
noticed Brad
streaming on
wanted to
Facebook. Again, we had some storms that concerned us, and the other concern was the fact the model guidance was really queuing in on this. So I thought maybe we were at that point where this was all going to start ramping up, but we're not at that point, so that's good. But we are starting to see new development out ahead of this in and around Moulton. But still, this storm we've been talking about, again, Chelsea was mentioning this a lot more, the storm south of Burnsville. We've got our storm spotter south of Iuka here. And Brad Arnold, he's keeping an eye on this area of the storm. And again, we'll continue to monitor it. But right now, it's not even a severe thunderstorm warning out for this storm, but it could intensify. But we just don't see anything wrapping around, and perhaps it's the positive tilt nature of the cold front coming in. And really, the lightning's kind of dropping down here, too. There's not much going on from Baldwin down to Tupelo, and even as you get towards Amory. So this is all fairly benign, but take a look here. This is what we're going to have to start watching for, these individual storms that may fire up out ahead of the main line. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing here up until our 4 o'clock newscast. But as we take a look down towards Tuscaloosa, I want to update you on that. These thunderstorms here are starting to intensify a bit on the southwest side there. It's still several miles away from Tuscaloosa, but right now they're just seeing rain in and around Tuscaloosa and the campus of the University of Alabama. West of Starkville, a few strong storms, but overall, not much going on there either. So overall, things are looking pretty good. The tornado watch, though, continues until 7 o'clock. If anything, the storms have really slowed down. I mean, we're at 3 o'clock, and we were thinking 12:30, 1 o'clock, these storms would be where they are now. But one thing that's yet to be seen is, are these areas out here? This is the most unstable air right now from Russellville to the south towards Smith Lake. This is the most unstable environment in North Alabama, right there. And anything that develops here is going to track northeast. So that's why we're going to have to watch this. I'm going to go ahead and step off the screen, check your questions here, kind of have full screen here as well. Kind of go back to our regular Facebook Live mode. Got 2,000 of you on here. Let me check some of your questions. I know a lot of it is, when's it going to be at my house? Yeah, I agree. I hope it all kind of fades away myself, and it just kind of turns into some rain. But boy, awfully muggy out there. I'm going to check the latest, what we call the meso analysis from the Storm Prediction Center, and it's kind of backing up, as I was mentioning, areas from Hamilton to Fayette, very high Cape values of 1,500, and we get 1,000 all the way roughly to I-65. So let me circle that over here as well, if I can find that on this computer. Okay, let me one more time here, right there. So what we're looking at is the most unstable air. As I mentioned earlier, we roughly have 1,000 joules per kilogram. Actually, let me delete that. It actually goes all the way up to the north ahead of this line, and then back here in this line, and then there's this secondary area of maximum instability right in here. And it's just been too warm so far today for development. We've been what's called capped, and there's really no boundary coming in. So overall, it's not flaring up. So again, most of the instability is just off to the southwest near Marion County.
Just want to make sure the stream is on the right source and everything.
Oh, okay. It's on prod 1.
And Brad, I do think it's interesting that we continue to watch that line, because there is one area that is trying to pull away from the line, and it's about to cross the Mississippi-Alabama state line there. I believe it is moving into Marion County, so that's going to include Hamilton, portions of Hackleburg. Again, nothing at the moment. It's severe. We don't even have a severe thunderstorm warning on this, much less a tornado warning, but again, as Brad has mentioned and showed you throughout model guidance, we have been tracking model guidance showing helicity tracks, or where it thinks a tornado will track with the most conducive environment. That includes instability, also shear. When we get these storms who try to separate from all of the other storms, they essentially, they can feed themselves, and they don't have to fight for all of the other energy that the other storms have. And that's what we call the storms that are going to be supercellular in nature. This storm, again, just south of Tremont, I believe, just very close to Fulton. These are areas in Mississippi, but it will be moving across the state line within the next 15 minutes, possibly even sooner than that. Just keep a close eye on this. It hasn't pulled away completely away from this entire area, this entire broken line of storms that we're watching. Not seeing any areas of rotation on it at the moment, but of course we're going to keep a close eye on it as it continues to move into portions of the Tennessee Valley, Marion County, and then possibly tracking northeastward into portions of Franklin County towards Phil Campbell. Back to you, Brad.
Yeah, I think our most intense storm right now is the one up in Wayne County, south of Collinwood.
Yes.
A lot of lightning, probably some hail picking up in that. I think they switched to IFBs, by the way. They got programming.
And I
in
believe
there.
that's the one that tracked all the way through Ripley, Mississippi, the confirmed tornado. And then we had the tornado warning for northwest Lauderdale County.
Now, let me get a storm track out for this area back here. The leading edge of this. We'll put it at about 50 miles per hour. This is moving towards Fulton in Mississippi around 3:32, so that's pretty much there now. Red Bay just before 4 o'clock, Vina 4 o'clock, Hamilton 4:03, Hodges 4:06, Hackleburg 4:13, the Crooked Oak and Rockwood area around 4:20, and then 4:21 in Phil Campbell. Again, we're expecting a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and quite a bit of lightning with this area. But there is an area near Fulton, just across the state line from Marion County. There's some new development there, but it's not rapidly developing, so to speak. So there's some good news there. But overall, widespread heavy rain coming in, and we've got kind of a Boeing segment with that, and I mean by B-O-W-I-N-G, not the airplane manufacturer. This is just west of Iuka, right on the back edge where the lightning's intense. So some strong gusty winds moving into Iuka, and again, Brad Arnold's over in that area too, monitoring that part of the storm for us. But there's just, actually on the northern edge, just a little bit of circulation. But it's trying, but it's just...
It's going to get eaten up.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this area to the south. And that's the other thing that's going on is as the storms try to fire up, new storms develop to the south and kind of choke it off, which is good news here. Again, we're not rooting on the severe weather. but just making sure you guys have the heads up. As we go kind of across the way here, continue to watch an area of showers develop, and the more shower activity we can get, the better out ahead of this. Let's see, more questions on here. Oh, yeah, I don't know what to do about, the auto-generated closed captioning. It's Facebook, I think, that's doing that.
That or the questions show up at the bottom of the screen. So if you turn off live
Oh, that happens
comments,
too.
you won't see those coming up, or the people sending the stars as well. That's something we run into too.
Sounds like somebody's mic may be going dead. Or just loose connection, maybe? The static.
Could be. Just putting out a special weather statement there for Lauderdale, Colbert through 415. Again, we're starting to see the actual line itself now, starting to move into our Alabama counties, northwest Alabama. So be on your toes, nothing pressing, nothing imminent at the moment, but obviously we've got a long way to go through the rest of the afternoon into the evening hours. Our newscast starts up in half an hour at 4 o'clock. Obviously, we will cut into programming as needed. We'll keep this stream going, of course, for most of the evening. Brad's going to show you right now what we were talking about with those rotation tracks, and it's been pretty consistent since about mid-morning. And where you see those white lines, that's where the model is saying, hey, this is an area that could have persistent rotation potentially as it moves through the area.
Yeah, and it's not showing as much as it had earlier. In fact,
No,
it's not showing anything out west
in
anymore.
fact, when it shows those the bluer color that you didn't just see, that's even stronger rotation there. We had a little window there just south of Coleman County, I think, Blunt, Etowah County, but that has been persistent. So we are monitoring, obviously, the rain off to our south toward Birmingham. Some of those storms potentially cutting off some of our moisture, but we've got the temperatures, we've got the dew points, the ingredients are there. We just kind of have to continue to monitor this line and see how it interacts. Any bowing segments in the line would cause a heightened threat of straight line wind damage. That's still very much so a possibility. This isn't just a tornado threat this evening. We're talking about wind as well. And then to follow it all up, a threat for very heavy rainfall and maybe even flash flooding overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we're right back to winter, actual February, with morning temperatures in the lower 30s.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. I just hope we get through this tonight without anything significant happening.
Correct. We don't root on storms here, that is for sure.
Just looking at the instability, it's still fairly high. I think it's just so warm in the mid-levels and the upper levels that it's making it hard for any updraft to just take off and start rotating, which is good news. Notice the rain out ahead of this main line. That's going to interfere with that too, so that's good news.
Jeff, do you have Max 3 up over there?
I do believe we do a key on the board.
Yeah, well, we could route it into the stream, but people were asking about the Cape. Where is the Cape at? Maybe you could walk them through that graphic, because Brad's looking at this off screen on the SPC website. So,
Yeah, let me route weather 48 to eliminate weather 48 to max 3. That should do it.
then we'll monitor to make sure that actually pops over. And then, Jeff, you could walk them through that. Just talking about some of the instability that we're dealing with.
Well, I think what happened was, I think what jumped out at us this morning when we were on air this morning here for the morning show was how much Cape or convective available potential energy. That's what you are looking for to fuel the thunderstorms, right? And the numbers were staggering from I-65 west, dropped off significantly for areas in northeast Alabama. So what we have here is a great example of you can have some ingredients for severe weather to take place, but you need it all to come together. Now, we have those Cape values that are very high for areas west of 65, and as those thunderstorms that are crossing over the state line right now, they're not showing features of severe weather. We're seeing pretty much everything capped at this point, but as it moves east and continues into that very sultry air, so to speak, for areas west of 65, those shoals down towards Franklin County, even into areas of Decatur, can we get some development off those storms as they move to the north and east? east and see a rapid development, and that could happen very easily. Now, areas east of 65, you still got some showers and thunderstorms. You're not out of the woods yet, but the Cape values drop off significantly when you go east, and therefore for areas like in Scottsboro or anywhere in Jackson County or DeKalb County, you know, real hard to keep these storms continuing to move to the east and stronger severe. But areas west would be the vulnerable spot as we go into the afternoon hours and into the evening. We're already seeing those stronger storms trying to develop in Mississippi. It's like they just can't get over the hump. And it's one of those things where we do not promote severe weather. We'd like to see everything stay capped and mainly turn this into a rainmaker, but obviously something that we're watching. You can see as we go into the evening hours, look how fast those Cape numbers drop off too. And that tells me that at that point, the stronger storms will, whatever we have that is strong or severe, will diminish quickly. And it just turns into be a kind of a big rain event as we go into the overnight hours before this thing finally wraps up after midnight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we still have, like he was just showing you on the screen, areas that are 1,000 plus joules per kilogram. Probably go back to routing the radar. I can do that for you.
Yeah, we got a cut in coming up here in about 2 minutes.
Okay, go to the router panel.
Okay.
And again, guys, we're working on the mic thing. This streaming is always kind of trial and error. As much as we want the best possible product for you, sometimes we run into some little technology hiccups here and there, but I believe we've alleviated the microphone issues. And again, if you can't hear someone, you let us know in the comments. We try and monitor.
Yeah, Eric, starting to see our first real supercell kind of structure trying to form in that high shear that's west of Tuscaloosa, southwest of Pickensville, and that would take a track towards, say, Guin and eventually Smith Lake. So it's not over by far. So we're watching that storm there as it's just starting to take off.
And are we Prod Ultra now?
No, Prod.
Prod 1.
Prod 1.
All right, there you go. Okay. No active warnings for now. Yeah, that southwest of Pickensville.
Yeah, that one's ramping up pretty quick. This is
okay. Did you hear that, Brad?
What?
Your cut-in's coming up. He's going to dip to black and do your thing.
30-second cut in. So again, this is what we're watching for off to the southwest. And notice how the shear is showing up before the storm even becomes severe. So it's this back edge here. That's what we're watching for. It's just some heavy rain in Tuscaloosa, but notice.
Is your hand tracking all right? Just want to check that before the cut-in.
Well, good afternoon. We continue to monitor severe weather approaching from the south and the west. Keeping a close eye on this storm down here west of Tuscaloosa. This one has a chance to continue to make it towards Guin and eventually Smith Lake, those areas there, Guin around 5 o'clock. Meanwhile, the main line continues to slowly move to the east. We're watching for any future development here. Right now, no severe thunderstorm warnings. There is that tornado watch until 7 o'clock. I've got your complete forecast coming up today at 4.
Yeah.
Actually, has anybody built the 10-day forecast?
Negative.
Okay. All right, we're back. Okay, I guess we'll just keep what we've got. Thanks.
I can do it.
All right. I mean,
all right.
Not that it matters a whole lot, but I haven't built anything for the show, by the way.
Well, I could give them the rundown. We've got storms this evening. Overnight, heavy rain showers continue. Tomorrow morning, waking up anywhere from 32 to 35 degrees. Tomorrow, clearing skies, breezy, high of 45. It will feel probably more like mid to upper 30s when that wind is factored in. So right back to that other part of February. Weekend forecast, all good news there. A cold start to the weekend, should be in the mid to upper 20s. Widespread freeze expected. I know I've seen some things blooming in my neighborhood already. One of my neighbors has some fantastic tulips, but something to watch this time of year. We have had some mild days and they start getting a mind of their own, but temperatures for Saturday, low to mid 50s, mainly sunny. Temperatures back in the low 60s by Sunday. 60s and 70s next week. We do have more chances for scattered showers and storms early in the week, though. No imminent severe weather threat other than what is happening here likely over the next 4 to 5 hours. hours, then the heavy rain threat overnight. That is your 10-day forecast verbally.
Very good. All right. This storm here may become severe, moving towards Amory and Smithville, eventually Hamilton, perhaps Hackleburg if it tracks a little more northeast. So, as I mentioned, it's not completely, and sometimes, you know, you get these storms that come across the northwest corner of the state, and then it just rains itself out over northwest Alabama, and meanwhile, the storms start raging farther to the east. So, it's a very likely possibility that's what's going to happen. We're going to have the threat of severe weather probably end by about 5 o'clock over northwest Alabama and then shift to the east. And as we go past dark, you can even see the wind shear with this shower here east of Hamilton. I mean, that's what you start looking at.
But that's also the one that we were talking about, those helicity tracks. That was the one, almost down to the timing. I mean, it doesn't look like much now, but that was something we were monitoring earlier in the morning and afternoon hours.
Yeah, and as we go back down to this other storm here, again, this just has that shape that we watch for, and it does have rotation with it, starting to rotate on the area that we would want to watch closely.
Yeah, Brad, I was just looking at the velocity on that, and I believe it shows up better on the storm relative velocity versus
Yeah, I mean, you can see it here, but there's just not much lightning. It's going to be the case of watching it until, you know, the lightning just takes off. So right now it's kind of on the edge of trying to put that into motion again. Yeah, that's.
And there's also a lot of rain coming from the south too, which I feel like is the issue because it's fighting against all of that rain that's trying to cool it down versus if it can get into a single cellular structure by itself. And
yeah, this Amory storm, it's got that look to, it's getting that look to it as well. Just on
and
the
tracking more northeasterly, like you can see the arrow. What's the hit the BTI on that?
That's a 3.4. They've all been kind of that way. The algorithm from the NEXRAD from the National Weather Service says it's severe storm, but it's only moving northeast at 29, but it is moving faster than that.
And going back to that BTI, if you remember back to January 12th, the storm that came out of Franklin County produced the EF1 tornado there through Lawrence County, through Moulton, eventually had some damage all the way through Decatur, even parts of Limestone County. When we were tracking that storm on air and we used the BTI tool, that at one point was up to a 6.8 to a 7.1, just to show you, and that did produce a confirmed tornado. So I know these numbers for you at home might not mean much to us. It just takes a little more time getting used to the product, but the higher the number, the more area for concern. So if it is at a 3.2, whatever it is right now, it's not zero, but and just something we'll continue to watch. Again, that's coming out of Amory, Mississippi, and tracking off to the northeast.
All right, I'm going to switch the feed over to just the radar so I can get this 4 o'clock show together here in 18 minutes.
Plenty of time.
Yeah. So let me switch this. Again, we're pretty much our own producers with the exception of going through the TMP Center. They've been very helpful today with that. Again, they're getting ready for the show as well. Weather 48, I'm going to go to just radar. So we won't have, Keywall will no longer be active on the feed here.
Looks like we have a new mesoscale discussion coming out.
All right.
All right, 10-day done.
Oh, did you build it? Thank you.
I'm working on it as fast as I could. I couldn't get to the
You'll have to refresh your...
percentage yet.
Okay. Boy, that Amory storm, we really got to keep an eye on that. We've got something new here. Did they reissue the tornado watch? Is it a tornado? I mean,
Possibly. I've got nothing on my phone or chat.
tornado warning. It's going to be up here for Lauderdale County. It looks like. Why it didn't show up in That is the Nashville viewing area. So again, we're going to continue to watch areas down here to the southwest. And the fact that this storm near Amory is actually showing up pretty well on the next red Doppler radar all the way from Jackson County shows it's got a really strong updraft with it. So yeah, this one's probably going to be the next severe thunderstorm, maybe even tornado warned storm.
Hit the hail product on that one.
Yeah, I bet there's some hail with that too.
There we go.
Yeah, that thing's producing quite a bit of hail. So we probably have dime to nickel size hail with this storm here. And as you get up north, there's not much with that. So that is the storm really to watch. Let's stop that.
So that would mean people
1.5 inch hail. They need to get a thunderstorm.
in Franklin County right now. This is a ways away from you, but certainly this is the storm that could be the one of the day if it continues to go at this rate. What the trends we're looking at on the radar showing the uptick in hail. That means we have a very, very strong updraft. The stronger the updraft, the longer those hailstones hang out in the upper levels below freezing, excuse me. They start growing in size, and eventually they get so large they're heavier than that updraft can support, and then they come tumbling down to the ground too, kind of taking on a little bit of that feature, not as much as that storm we're monitoring well off to our south, but the one coming out of Amory, Mississippi right now. Plus, we're getting a very good look at that off of the Columbus radar too.
That is, there's a lot of shear in that storm there. Let me again, I'm just clicking around, getting ready for the 4 o'clock show here. That tornado warning for Amory. That's the storm we're talking about. Again, just to the west of Hamilton. And this is kind of coinciding with the model guidance, really. And it really looks like, I mean, some areas of northwest Alabama could get skipped, and this all ends up on that predominant track, the Hackleburg, Phil Campbell, Moulton, up into Limestone County. Yeah, they've only got 3/4 inch hail. I bet that hail's probably 1 inch hail with that storm, the way it's rotating. So there's, again, tornado warning for the Amory area. I have to watch that closely.
Yeah, look at the shear rate tool.
Oh, wow. That has really jumped. It's jumped to extreme.
Anytime we see that maroon color, and another thing we've noticed working with the system, anytime you start to see kind of an S or some form of a kind of a squiggly line in scientific terms, it's usually when we really start to see tornadic development here. So.
Yeah, and Eric, you talking about that squiggly line, you can see just on past radar loops, it kind of scrunching up. And essentially that's trying to show the rotational aspect of this storm, trying to wrap around itself. That's where we get the rotational couplets. Essentially that indicates that we could see a tornado potentially. Again, this is the tornado warned storm there in Amory, just west of Marion County. This is heading northeast. I would say don't have a good indicator on it, but possibly 40, maybe 45 miles per hour. Eric,
the
if you
Smithville
could correct
area
me.
has a history of tornadoes, and they typically track from Smithville to Hackleburg, Phil Campbell, those areas. So again, heads up there.
The Weather Service, Chelsea, has a speed of just east-northeast at 20, which is significantly slower than any other storm we've seen moving today. But that is certainly the one to watch right now. Again, no active warnings for us, but things could start to ramp up here at that shear tool. See, strong.
What's the BTI on that?
It was just 3.6.
Okay, it's probably a scan behind.
Correct. And you look at that there on storm relative velocity. Smithville. So watching that, and we could go ahead and put a path on that for you. Take down the warning, and we'll put this out. There's the GUI.
Boy, this rain's going to continue well past 11 o'clock from what I'm looking at. Boy, that thing is cranking up. Look at radar scope over there behind you. Wow.
Yeah, the bottom half of the storm, it's trying to curl up.
If you know someone that lives in Smithville, you need to call them and tell them they need to get to shelter because this storm is cranking up.
And I keep going back and forth to, we call it our correlation coefficient, CC. This is a good indicator if we do have a tornado, because this will show actual debris being lofted up into the air, and you could see it clearly, a debris ball. No debris ball with this storm just yet, but I would not be surprised if this storm continues to tighten up, if we do get a good debris ball on it, moving again northeast towards Smithville and possibly across the Alabama-Mississippi state line.
And we're not showing your radar scope feed on the stream right now, Chelsea, but I have exactly what you're talking about on the screen. Potentially 2 little areas of debris potentially being lofted up. Something we always point out this time of year. We don't have the leaves on the trees. That's usually something that easily gets lofted up. But if we go back to the reflectivity, and Chelsea, you can probably see this too, almost looks like we're getting a bit of a donut forming there.
Yeah.
And it would be right in this area here in the Smithville area in Mississippi. Right where that shear rate product lines up so nicely, unfortunately.
Yeah, that whole, it may be actually, there's almost like 2 mesos in there. It's an interesting storm feature there for sure.
Starting to look.
I mean, that whole storm's rotating. It's almost like it's shifted to the north.
Yes.
So now we have kind of 2 areas.
Safe to say that areas towards Russellville, keeping an eye on that storm very closely.
Yeah, and even ahead of that, we'll have to watch that storm near Hamilton that's to the north.
A lot of lightning with it too. And we'll just put that on a loop here. You kind of see how it evolves.
Let's put that lightning back on to see what's going on. Yeah, there's a lot of lightning. It's even well ahead of the storm too. But there's really nothing going on with the Hamilton storm. Well, I can't even call it a storm because there's no lightning there. Let's get back
And
up.
also see how that's really jumping out well ahead of it now, but to the north of it, so it's not necessarily cutting it off, but well ahead of the...
There's some really strong vertical velocity ahead of that. It's just going straight up. If you live in Florence, nothing severe to the west of you. We continue to watch that.
Take a look at that really quick, just because that is starting to, well, it is in our viewing area if you're out there. Right along the Tennessee River, we've got Cherokee, Gravelly Springs, anywhere from Muscle Shoals, Florence, St. Florian, coming your way. A lot of heavy rain. We've got a couple lightning strikes too. Put the lightning counter back on. This is just for this area that you see on the screen on your stream right now. Not as much lightning as we saw initially, that's for sure, but heavy rain in the forecast coming your way. Go over to hail, pause this, and maybe some very small hail just west of you in Cherokee right now.
And just to regroup back on that storm, Eric, that we continue to watch moving towards Smithville, Mississippi, National Weather Service in Birmingham. Again, Marion County, that's not technically in our viewing area, but we're going to continue to watch because moving towards Marion County, we have Franklin County, including Phil Campbell, which is likely in the path of this if it holds together. National Weather Service in Birmingham might call or extend that tornado warning into Marion County within the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, and potentially again seeing another area that might be possible debris showing up here just west of Smithville. And we go back to the shear product. Notice where that lines up, exactly where we have the yellow. Now, we were talking about the green being a relatively weak or broad rotation. Then we said, oh, it's got the maroon color on it right now, but now it's got the yellow, and that is the highest that this toolbar goes in this tool that we show you, this shear rate tool. And right now, that is just west of Smithville, Mississippi.
Yeah, Eric, and I think we do have a bit of a debris ball on that.
I was just thinking that.
If you go to our correlation coefficient, the CC.
Yeah, in Birmingham chat, just touching on that, Chelsea. Good info to point out that it does have a tornado debris signature, and that's what we're seeing. So this is going to likely be, So now Memphis Weather Service, this is an observed, confirmed tornado that we're looking at here. It still says moving east at 20, which seems a little slow for me. This will move into Detroit, Alabama, out toward Hamilton, and then eventually downstream. This is Hackleburg. We told you that we could see some of those embedded supercells potentially in this line of storms. Oh yeah, that debris ball getting much worse with each scan. Don't like to see that. Has an interesting little notch there.
Right, I mean, just to the west of, moving right into Smithville.
Correct. Getting ready for our 4 o'clock newscast that starts in 5 minutes and 20 seconds. We've got Liz Hurley, Margot Gray getting ready. Brad also
I will be at the key wall.
Getting ready. He's just getting his show ready. We'll keep the stream going, obviously, through the newscast. It's always a little more difficult to keep you up to date, but we're with you. We are not leaving you at any point this evening as long as there is a threat here. Things could start to ramp up. It only takes one significant storm to really make an event, and this could potentially be it right now. Confirmed tornado in Smithville, Mississippi, tracking northeast. This could have impacts downstream if it keeps going. It could eventually move into parts of Franklin County, you and Phil Campbell, and eventually into parts of Lawrence County.
And Eric, I don't know if you have velocity on, but this thing is lighting up.
Yeah.
As far as the rotational couplet,
Yeah, that's as bad as it gets.
And again, that's Brad walking in front of the green screen.
Well, I don't think you can see.
You can see the debris ball.
No,
too.
but you can move the camera still.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All good. Yeah, looking at this is not good for the folks in Smithville, and is that Turon?
Yeah, I believe so.
Let's look at that.
Oh, that's not good at all. That's a strong tornado signature right there. Yeah, I'm probably going to start with radar.
All right, radar's all
Okay,
yours. What do you want to put on the stream? Well, we'll do prod, obviously.
Yeah. We'll get the whole line here, and then I want to extend this storm track with this storm. And this is going to be, again, moving into Marion County. They'll likely extend the tornado warning. Weather Service will do that. And this is going to be really hard to see. It's completely wrapped in rain.
and again, I could be wrong, but I believe if this completely holds together, it is moving northeast. Again, they still have it 20 miles per hour, but if it holds together, it's moving very close to I-22. That is a heavily traveled area.
Yeah, I'm going to put a storm track at 40 miles per hour. I think it may actually increase in forward speed as it moves northeast. So this is on towards Hackleburg. So we've got Hamilton 437, Hackleburg 451, Phil Campbell 504. So Phil Campbell 504 for a tornado that is on the ground now, moving northeast. Have they changed the wording at all on that as far as confirmed?
We have the debris.
Oh, good grief. That is horrible.
Yes, the debris ball is sticking out like a sore
Significant
thumb.
tornado doing significant damage now just on the west side of Smithville, Mississippi. And this storm's moving east-northeast at 35 to 40 miles per hour. It may be, if it holds together again, it's got about an hour and it's going to be in Hackleburg and then Phil Campbell around 504. And this is following the tracks that the forecast guidance was suggesting for these mesocyclones. So again, a significant tornado on the north side of Smithville. Even in Smithville, they're probably looking at very high wind coming in from the south. And just to the southwest of Amory, there's another storm that's starting to rotate as well. I'm going to go ahead and get ready up here on the key wall. I don't know if somebody wants to tweet that storm track out from Max One, or at least send it out to social media that way.
Do you guys have socials over there or no? I can
Or you
get
just save it like as Web One or something. Okay, and they've got, let me get Max One here. Again, we're coming up on our 4 o'clock newscast.
We need to mute our mics, correct, Brad?
What's that? Yeah, go ahead and mute your mics.
Yeah, we can hear now.
Can you check the street? See that? Yeah.
Today is a 48 First Alert Weather Day.
Good afternoon. Today is a 48 First Alert Weather Day.
And that's because the Tennessee Valley has the potential to see some severe weather today.
That's right. The entire 48 First Alert Weather team is right here tracking storms. Let's get straight to WAFF 48's Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis, who is tracking a big one out of Mississippi.
Yeah, Smithville area confirmed tornado. We've got significant debris now showing up on the radar. This one's moving towards Hamilton, and if it holds together, Phil Campbell, Hackleburg down the road just before 5 o'clock. So about an hour from now, you're going to get some rain out ahead of this. There's also showers and storms back here just off to the northwest of Florence, but really not as much as what we're seeing down here just off to the south. So we've got two of these really strong storms, one producing a bow echo here just north of Aberdeen, the other one northeast of Amory. That is tracking towards Hamilton and Hackleburg. I'm going to go ahead and advance and switch clickers here. We do have the tornado warning up in Lawrenceburg. That's up in the Nashville DMA viewing area. But notice as we get down here to the south, this is the storm producing significant lightning, and then it's moving towards Hamilton. Again, Hackleburg around 4:51. And the key is if it holds together. And I will tell you, the atmosphere is very unstable in around Hackleburg and to the south. And this is what we're concerned with, is tornadoes developing and long track tornadoes, and that could be one. Out here to the west of Cherokee, we're keeping an eye on that. But right now, just heavy rain, gusty winds, and maybe some pea-sized hail. We'll have another look at radar in your forecast coming up.
And a reminder here, if severe weather does strike your area and there is damage and it's safe to take a photograph or video, please do that. Send the information to us. All you need to do is go to our website or our app and find the Send Us Your Photos button on the sidebar. Just make sure you let us know who took it and where it was taken.
Well, we're also on your side this First Alert Weather Day, letting you know that 4 tornado sirens are not working in Madison County. Roundabout, the Academy for Science and Foreign Language on Maston Lake Road. Beetle Lane, they're trying.
Mechanical issues or, replacements, whatever that may be.
And if you take a look at your screen right here, you can see a map of the outdoor warning sirens in Madison County. You can take a closer look on the Huntsville-Madison County EMA's website. Now, it's crucial. You have several ways to get potentially life-saving weather updates. We preach this all the time. You can stay weather alert with our WAFF 48 weather app. Just scan this QR code on your screen. If you take it, it will actually take it to your phone's app store. And if you miss this code, the app is available where all apps are sold.
We now know the 2 National Guardsmen who were killed in that Black Hawk helicopter crash on Harvest yesterday. Tennessee National Guard officials say Daniel Wadham and Danny Randolph were killed in that chopper crash. Both were chief warrant officers. Wadham was in the service for 15 years, Randolph 13 years. Officials say the helicopter rapidly descended as it approached Huntsville Executive Airport.
And 48 Sky video, drone video here showing where the helicopter crashed in the median of Highway 53. Investigators say that Black Hawk immediately burst into flames after hitting the ground. The section of the road is still closed as investigators comb through that debris.
And as soon as that crash happened, those of you who actually saw it called us, emailed us. The flaming crash brought out many emotions for many who witnessed it firsthand. WAFF 48's Matthew King joins us live from the scene of that crash along Highway 53. Matthew, this crash happened in a very public place with a lot of witnesses.
And I've spoken with several of those witnesses. It's been over 24 hours now since that crash happened directly behind where I'm standing right now. And unfortunately for some of those witnesses, it's a moment feels like it's never forget. And right now on your screen,
basically a photo op, and they're saying that none of the Republicans that are pushing on the corner is going to come to fruition right now.
from a nearby home. This happened just before the evening commute yesterday afternoon. Anyone nearby says the moment was traumatizing to see. One woman told me she had to turn her car around because she wanted to avoid the traffic being caused by the smoke. The car was covered in debris. Now, Joe Weiss lives within half a mile of the crash. He says he'll always remember the moment he heard it go down.
That's horrific. Horrific. We haven't seen anything like that. But rare to hear about Black Hawk. We all have our houses. And saw the steam smoke over there on the road. It was immediately dark lane, and then the black smoke just engulfed our neighborhood over here.
Now, right now, over 24 hours later, that scene is still active. I see right now the debris has mostly been picked up. I've seen some tarps covering it and tied together and on the back of a truck right now. Now, this happened near the end of the road, but local people nearby who own the property are worried it could affect their property in the long term. More details on this coming up at 5. Reporting
building to go to during the newscast. We can't talk. Storm west of Florence, we're going to have to keep an eye on that.
Other than Palestine? East?
Get in a little bit closer here.
You keep saying Palestine.
East Palestine. Oh, I said Palestine.
It's got some mid-level rotation in it, so we'll have to watch. Somebody said there was potentially a confirmed tornado in Lawrenceburg, and I'm
Tunnel vision.
thinking that X-band probably prompted the warning up there because they've got that X-band radar up there.
So who was there to answer questions if you wasn't there?
Hey, Devin. Did you figure out the problem with Stefan and the radio station?
Is that what made him stumble?
I think it was, I think it's coax.
I think it's probably just some gusty winds there west.
They just put out a
SPS, yeah. Strong thunderstorm, Lauderdale.
Just ahead, you don't have to look back 100 or even 50 years for Black history. Some are making history right now in the world of sports. Our local spotlight next.
And the president addressed the nation speaking about the downing of those flying objects. What he definitively ruled out next. I'm sorry, I didn't
All right, we're in commercial. The storm's cycling back through here in Phil Campbell. Actually, in Smithville, moving. Again, this continues to move towards Phil Campbell. So I'm going to put this storm track here.
That's, there's some radio station, and when the coax cable somehow, and he's doing a live shot. I don't understand the technical, but I don't know if he can move.
So right now, this is looking like Phil Campbell around 5 to 5:20. All right. We are going to start with that.
Someone did make the comment that we don't have to sync the mouse.
That's true.
Yeah,
Did they notice that?
Our loyal followers.
We still have to view full screen and shrink that so we can get to the other. I'm going to try to go in and
All of my phones are on their last level.
start frame capture.
Unless you got a phone charger in your back pocket.
Well, we have no place to put that.
This way I don't have to switch.
But I don't have the cube. The cube for my USB cord.
Okay. How
I
far?
could possibly, is there I could possibly get it.
No, because it's a circle. These are the old circle kind.
All right, show prep. Why did that not go to show prep? Oh, I didn't export it.
Sometimes it puts it at the top too.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, but hit export frame.
Well, I did, and oh, way at the top. There it is. Got it.
So you either skip all those or
Okay, we got the wrong thing in there.
that's old. That's
Yeah.
from all
Delete all
like that.
those. Yep, they are.
It'd probably be easier to just clear the whole thing, hit clear up top, and
Well,
save
I'm
as.
just going to go through here.
All right, you got 3 clicks.
All right.
Back up early here.
There we go. We're back. Yesterday, actually,
Oh,
for me.
today.
It's all right. Okay, so we're watching that storm west of Florence. There's a lot of rain ahead of it, though. So we'll wait and see. Again, it's pretty far from the radar site, too, so that's kind of problematic as far as trying to.
An Alabama graduate is hoping to make it to the 2024 Olympics. Right now, Quenisha Burks is training in Gainesville, Florida. Georgia Chambers introduces us to this young lady who had her start right here in the Tennessee Valley. She's our focus for Black History Month today.
so they're not going to extend it.
Yeah, so we're not going to get an extension into Marion County right now. Okay, thank you. Can you get into the Nashville chat so we can see if they've got any damage there?
What are their call letters again?
B&A or OHX. I don't know which one.
That's it. B&A's there.
Old Hickory.
Felicia thrived at Alabama. She was a two-time NCAA champion and four-time SEC champion for Georgia, but she was just getting started. I will be an Olympian in 2020. Felicia's athlete.
Surface-based Cape still pretty high over northwest Alabama, basically Hartselle, Decatur, Athens, Moulton, Double Springs. It's at 1,000. It was hard to find when I looked for it last time. It may actually be Nashville too. I think that's what it is. I think it says like Nashville, and then at the end of it, it says OHX, like alphabetical.
Felicia qualified for the finals at the Tokyo Summer Olympics, but she was the first one out, placing 13th.
It hurt because what I jumped at Olympic trials would have gotten me a medal at the Olympic Games. Coming up, I'm ready. I will make sure that they are notified when there is a final announcement. Number one American so then it's going to make sure to rock. So it's only building up this momentum for the Olympic Games because I'm leaving my partner.
Felicia now has her sights set on the purest 2024 Summer Olympics.
There's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah.
It hasn't just been for herself.
Me making the Olympic team meant so much to me and the young girls, the young people of color, and just honestly everyone about believing in yourself. It doesn't matter what situation you've been brought into, it's what you do with it.
I'm Georgia Chambers, 48 News, on your side.
And we'll continue our coverage of Black History Month tomorrow. News anchor Gina Benitez talked to a college coach who reshaped the program and trained Olympic athletes.
So far, so good, at least in our viewing area here, our coverage area in North Alabama. Unconfirmed reports of a possible tornado up in around Lawrenceburg. We're working to confirm that with that tornado warning that's been extended into northern Giles County up towards Columbia as well. Again, that is the Nashville market that's moving away from us. What we're more focused on is what's moving in from the southwest. There was a significant tornado in the Smithville, Mississippi area about 30 minutes ago. That storm has weakened a bit. It's kind of cycling through though, so we'll continue to monitor that. And then we've got a strong thunderstorm west of Florence, probably looking at wind gusts around 45 miles per hour, some pea-sized hail, and quite a bit of lightning with that. But it's this other storm down here to the south and west of Hamilton we'll have to watch closely. It's running into this rain-cooled air here, so this may be weakening the atmosphere. So overall good news here, especially if you live in Phil Campbell and Russellville, because there was big concern for a moment if that storm was going to continue to produce that tornado. I think they're going to let the warning go, and National Weather Service office in Birmingham will not be extending that warning into Marion County, at least for right now. But we're under the tornado watch until 7 o'clock this evening. After 7, I think the atmosphere is going to settle down, but we're going to have a lot of rain. So heavy rain right now on the northwest side of Florence out towards Central Heights, Cherokee. The area we'll watch here is near Highway 20. A little bit of broad rotation way up in the atmosphere, but could have some strong gusty winds with that. But no tornado signature there with that storm, and no confirmed tornado earlier with the storm that tracked north of Waterloo, but that storm was confirmed with a tornado earlier in Mississippi. But as we focus down here to the south, notice how fast that area here near Hamilton just blows up. Here's the storm track here taking this area towards Phil Campbell around 5:21, so about an hour from now. So we're still going to watch this area of storm activity. Here's the storm timeline. Again, we are streaming on all our digital devices, but during the newscast you may not hear our voices all the time as we are in the same studio. Here's a look right now today from now to about 5 o'clock. Probably have to extend this a little bit farther in time between now and 7 o'clock in the middle of North Alabama, and just kind of beginning probably in the next hour or so here in far northeast Alabama. Again, we've struggled with the timeline of this because it's such a messy setup. But here's the latest model guidance showing an increase in activity from Albertville to Fort Payne in the next hour. Most likely just some heavy rain with that, as the air over here far northeast Alabama probably will not become as unstable as what we're dealing with west of I-65 now, and it won't stay that unstable much longer. By 6 o'clock, locally heavy rain, still the potential for severe weather. We'll be watching these storms as they track northeast at about 40 miles per hour. By 6:50 or so, just before 7 o'clock, mainly looking at heavy rain and gusty winds, but there's those isolated storms we'll have to watch, especially if the wind shear stays high. Now, this is the change. As we go past 8 o'clock, we're looking at the front coming in and very heavy rain coming in right behind the front as temperatures drop into the 40s. In fact, the rainfall rates actually increase around 11 o'clock, and that increases the concern for flash flooding. Here's your 10-day forecast. Check that out. 30 degrees colder tomorrow, and it'll feel even colder than that. 45 for the high, a morning low in the mid-30s. 27 Saturday morning, 53 for the high Saturday, 61 Sunday. So improving weather as we get later into the weekend, and shower and storm chances next week, but I don't see an overall threat for severe weather right now.
Okay, let's go outside and take a live look out at the roads and the shoals. Brad, your mic is still on because I want you to weigh in here. These live pictures coming from our storm chaser, Brad Arnold. Arnold is traveling along Highway 43. This is south into Scumbia. We will keep checking in with Arnold throughout the evening. He has years of experience. He knows what he's doing, right, Brad?
He does. He's been with us for a couple of years as well. He's on his way down there, probably south of Russellville, to intercept that storm moving towards Hamilton. So we'll hear more from Brad Arnold coming up.
All right, we will give you a better view of that storm just ahead. Up next, we're headed to Washington, D.C. after the president addresses the shooting down of those flying objects. The latest after the break.
So I just sent you.
5 miles west of Lawrenceburg.
Yo, folks. 90 seconds. All right, let me look everything over real quick, folks. 1 minute out. Still just a lot of wind there northwest of Hamilton. Doesn't look like it's reorganizing. Still some strong gusty winds north of Florence. Approaching Anderson. The front's starting to move through, though. And down towards Tuscaloosa, nothing really going on there, just some rain. So overall, we're looking okay. And I think the threat's probably over in Waterloo as the front starts moving in.
Right over in Waterloo?
No, I don't think he's going south on 43, I think, to Russell.
And that means we want you to stay weather alert.
And that means we could possibly see some severe weather today.
So let's turn it over to Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis, tracking it all.
I will tell you, as we continue on here and the rain starts to move in, the front's starting to move in to northwest Alabama, you're going to start to see some of these counties removed from the tornado watch. The threat for severe weather is going to be dropping. However, we're still dealing with a lot of rain out there. And the way things look now, we may not get a continuation of this watch farther to the east, but that's yet to be seen. The current watch expires in about 2.5 hours. We may need a new one, though. We'll see. We'll keep you up to date. Right now, things look a lot better than what they were looking like on the forecast guidance. I'll tell you that for sure. Still some strong thunderstorms here northwest of Florence, moving towards Anderson, mainly just some strong gusty winds, lightning, and heavy rainfall. And we kind of see this here. Up towards Lawrenceburg, there has been some damage in northern Lawrence County, so we'll continue to watch that. But we're watching closely these thunderstorms down here, the environment as you get towards Haleyville, Arley, and even Hartselle. There's still plenty of an instability here for these showers and storms to work with as they continue to move to the northeast. So right now, just high winds west of Hamilton. This storm is not showing signs of reforming the tornado that it once had. Much more on your forecast coming up.
48 News is on your side this afternoon, getting you prepared for the possibility of severe weather. Scan this QR code you see right now on your screen for our 48 First Alert Weather Day Toolbox. This toolbox is your really best way to know about the nearest storm shelters in your neighborhood, live traffic reports, how to program your weather radio, and a whole lot more. All you do is look on our website, WAFF.com, for the link.
And when there's a chance for severe weather, you may not have as much time as you think to find that safe place. The 48 Weather Team and EMA officials are stressing that people prepare for severe weather before it hits. That means you should have a severe weather plan if you need to leave your home. Everyone in your family should know what to do. Part of that plan includes having a go kit ready. You can pack things like food, water, cash, medication, flashlights, batteries, and even a portable cell phone charger.
And there is a high chance of probability that we could go into a tornado warning. So now is the time to make sure you have your plan in place. You know
Watching that cell south of Fayette.
ready just in case that you need to hunker down and prepare if a case of a tornado does arrive.
And here's another tip. You should think about what you may need for at least 3 days. In other news today, a South Alabama police officer is still on duty after being charged with rape. Pritchard police officer Brian Lacey was charged with rape. The allegation is from a former romantic partner made in October. She says Lacey came over to her home and asked for sex, which she refused. MS either say that's when the police officer raped her. Mobile County District Attorney Keith Blackwood said it's unusual for police to keep employees on payroll after being charged.
Actually, in other agencies, deal with this exact kind
bill would change how much time an inmate could earn off their sentence. Just last month, Governor Ivey created new guidelines with an executive order. Our Politico reporter Aaron Davis compares the two.
This is a comparison of the time for
Was
new
that
inmates
clear?
to
I
start
don't think it
earning
was
their
like
full
law
sentence.
that
Under Governor Kay Ivey's
executive
executive order,
order.
it will take at least 10 months for an inmate to become a Class 1 inmate. And according to the bill sponsored by Senator April Weaver, it will take 21 months. There are 4 levels of class categories. A Class 1 inmate that could have been said so much
easier because that was confusing.
sign off for their sentence every 30 days. So instead of, so it basically takes you longer to earn good time.
I guess.
You accrue it, it's gonna take longer to accrue good time. It's all here the same. Instead of whatever months,
Whatever,
it's 21
whatever it
months.
was, yeah.
Still released on good time. Yeah. She tells me if good time hadn't been administered correctly, he'd still be in jail. It will take at least 10 months for an inmate to become a Class 1 inmate. According to the bill, it will take 21 months. There are 4 levels of class categories.
All right. So far, nothing really ramping up. Still watching that storm southeast of Fayette. It's probably in the most favorable environment. If anything's going to happen, that storm's going to be the one to do it. And it's been hanging on for a while.
We know more about that tragic Black Hawk helicopter crash today than we did yesterday, and we are still asking questions. More on the souls lost, the military investigation underway, and the status of reopening Highway 53 at 5.
And next, how's the president doing? I mean, feeling. He's 80 and just had a physical. What we know next.
I would get up here to the north. Let's switch over to the next rad from Jackson County. There's still some activity. They've still got that tornado warning going for that storm. That's been long track. That actually went through near Corinth, Mississippi, and continues tracking. There's some gusty winds here west of Pulaski. So strong gusty winds west of Pulaski still going on. Take a look at the Birmingham next rad. They've got a better look at this storm here. But overall, there's no real rotation going on. These storms just are not getting tall enough. That's good. Boy, that one near Smithville sure did, though. I mean, that thing took off in like 10 minutes.
That was a nice little free ball.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, I'll have a tease. Probably, yeah. But I think, the problem has been the cap, and that was the problem last night in Mississippi. It was just too warm. Not enough.
Cap never broke.
The cap really never broke.
And I feel like all the storms have been just fighting against each other.
Yeah. But boy, you can see what happens when in that Smithville area once the right environment gets there.
Sorry if over there was horrible. That was a new thing.
Oh no, that actually
Tried it out.
it actually looked pretty good, I thought.
Did it work?
Yeah, I think so.
A little fine tuning, and
Yeah.
you know there's going to be a next time, unfortunately.
Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
know. I just didn't want it to ruin the flow if it looked horrible. And
In fact, 1 year ago, February 17th, we had a first alert weather.
Yeah, true. Well, Daniel, the thing is, as you go up in the air, typically gets colder, but sometimes you can have, if it's warmer, the thunderstorm updraft starts going up and then it stops. What are they saying?
This is old.
Oh.
From like 40 minutes ago,
Oh, okay.
when we still had a change.
Yeah, University. We are 47 days into the year, and there have already been 72 mass shootings. It is a huge strain on hospitals and healthcare workers. Mandy Gager has more on what an emergency physician says are the hurdles facing the healthcare system.
The images are heart-stopping. All too familiar. I've seen firsthand so many times.
Yeah, the stronger storms are actually in southern Middle Tennessee right now.
Yep. To the north.
And that was where this morning they were showing only 500 Cape.
Yeah.
Brad, is there a way for us to know beforehand?
Got some high, what's that?
Is there a way for us to know beforehand that the cat may not break?
There's really no way to know.
I mean, we were even seeing peaks of
Sunshine.
today.
I texted you that this morning.
Yep.
We've got some high wind moving towards Killen right now. I mean, radar's indicating like 50 mile an hour.
All of it.
So we'll have to watch that. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I do. Oh, thanks.
President Joe Biden's health is fine after undergoing a routine physical. So White House officials say the exam took a couple of hours at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Maryland this morning. They say a comprehensive report will be written by his doctor and should be released very soon. President Biden didn't have an exam last year after his administration said he was too busy. The president's health will be closely watched as he moves closer to announcing his 2024 re-election bid decision. President Biden turned 80 this past November. Speaking of Walter Reed, a high-profile senator is seeking treatment for severe depression there. Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman checked himself into Walter Reed last night for help. The senator's spokesperson says this has been an ongoing problem through Fetterman's life, and he's getting the care he needs today. The U.S. labor market remains strong despite recent big tech layoffs. Today, the Department of Labor released a new report. It shows last week's jobless claims hit a historic low. It says first-time applications for unemployment benefits fell to 194,000 last week. That's below expectations, and it follows a slight uptick from the week before. This could be bad news for interest rates. It gives the Federal Reserve more incentive to increase rates again. At 5, finally, a memorial to the first teacher in space who died before she got there, 2 minutes after liftoff on a trip. And next, marking the first 911 call made in Alabama. Do you know how long it's been?
Oh, we still have some strong thunderstorms. Nothing severe right now. The more intense weather close by is actually in southern Middle Tennessee. Quick look at the radar. We get northeast of Florence towards Anderson. We've got some strong gusty winds there. We'll keep an eye on that along Highway 43. More on your forecast. Tornado watch continues until at least 7 o'clock. All right, that storm there south of St. Joe is a pretty strong storm. A lot of wind there. I think I need a new phone because my phone does not handle data very well anymore. Whether it's Wi-Fi or LTE, it's just not.
Battery up really fast.
Not as much.
Mine likes to not give me service anymore. It just relies on Wi-Fi strictly until I restart it, and then it comes back to life.
Yeah.
Instant lightning strikes with that storm near Phil Campbell.
Remind me to ask about why.
It's not huge, but
Man, there's some strong wind here in Lauderdale County. It's just
towards Lexington.
yeah. I mean, it's picking up on both radars, just east of Highway 43.
50, 60 mile an hour gusts.
Yeah.
Start trimming that watch
See,
back
that's the
here.
stuff. I'll learn to cut in more when we're on M more. I'll do better.
Oh, you're fine.
I don't say enough. But
Yeah, we got at least 50.
There is a lightning starting to show up now towards Moulton out ahead of that one little area.
If you need us to do an audible, we can do that on the school delays.
All right. Let's see. This storm down here still bears watching. The one you can kind of see there near Fayette.
Let's see, it's kind of spinning more north than it is northeast.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like there's a boundary coming in from the south.
Instead of heading over to like Coleman County, it looks like it almost wants to head up towards Double Springs instead.
I'm just taking the timeline out. All right. 30 seconds. All right.
Is it Smith County or Smith Station in Mississippi?
Smith Station, I believe.
East of Jackson? He said Smith County.
There's a Smith County over there too, I think. Not over yet. Washington, right now we're watching clouds in the Huntsville metro area. Some rain too on our Breeze Camera Network. It's still 70 degrees. One of the things that's happened today, we've had the instability, but as you go up higher in the air's getting warmer. In fact, it's too warm and there's nothing to break that lid. Therefore, these updrafts have started, but then they just stop. Tornado watch really for a large area continues until 7 o'clock this evening for us. So we're not out of the woods yet, but it's looking better, especially from Florence to Russellville and areas to the west. There's still this area here we're going to watch from Hamilton into Marion County, just to the west of Moulton. And of course, there's this thunderstorm south of Fayette. We're going to put a storm track on that in just a few minutes. That's going to move across Walker County towards Smith Lake, so we will have to watch that closely. But for right now, mainly just heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and some of the more intense weather is actually happening here in southern Middle Tennessee. You get northwest of Pulaski there in Giles County. And also this storm here may be producing wind damage east of Highway 43 as it moves away from Anderson. As we get farther to the northwest, I think the threat of severe weather is probably over in Cherokee and Waterloo and in northeastern Mississippi. So let's take a closer look. We kind of go between radars here. We're picking up some near 50-mile-per-hour winds with this storm just northeast of Killen. That's moving towards Lexington, actually moving towards Anderson here over time. And as you get up here farther to the north, that's where we have some 30, 40-mile-per-hour winds and even some 50-mile-per-hour winds with that other storm. So here's a storm track on these strong gusty winds moving towards Lexington around 4:55, so just before 5 o'clock. Anderson 5:04, Minor Hill 5:16, and Bethel down the road at 5:23. So we're going to watch this. There's still high wind shear in here, but there's just not a maximum tornado threat with that right now. But there's going to be some isolated damaging winds, a lot of lightning. So a closer view here from Hackleburg to the southwest towards Hamilton. This is the storm that produced the significant tornado northwest of Smithville, probably about 45 minutes to an hour ago. It's been completely absorbed with rain, and it's not refiring. You get south of Hatton, just to the west in the Mount Hope area, west of Moulton, some heavy rain and lightning picking up there as well. And all this slowly approaching the Huntsville metro area. I do want to put a storm track on this particular storm. I think if any storm is going to become severe and pose a potential for perhaps a stronger tornado, it would be this storm here. The environment it's moving into is the most unstable air we have here in North Alabama. So just something to watch right now that's going to move across Smith Lake and could impact Coleman around 6:30 or so this evening. So let's go take a look hour by hour, 5 o'clock this evening. Still looking at the heavy rain from Florence to Russellville, but slowly starting to see an increase in showers and storms in Albertville and Fort Payne. And as we continue on past 6 o'clock, the threat's over in the Shoals, probably over the threat of severe weather is over in Phil Campbell and Hackleburg as well. And just before 7 o'clock, I think it starts to end in Athens and Moulton. But what you're going to see in red, very heavy rain, and that's going to become the dominant threat as we go past 8 o'clock this evening. As temperatures begin to fall into the 50s, that's just the beginning of much colder air coming in for the day tomorrow. After 9 towards 10 o'clock, this is all heavy rain. This is not severe weather. Doubtful we'll even have any significant lightning left. Your 10-day forecast, quieter but colder tomorrow, 45 for the high, 53 Saturday, back to 61 Sunday. More rain coming early next week. We'll track the storms for you coming up and during the 5 o'clock news.
Within the hour, a spokesperson for the Madison County school system told us that tomorrow schools will be delayed. Several schools will be delayed to avoid traffic backups in the area of that Black Hawk helicopter crash. The 2-hour delay will impact Sparkman High School, Sparkman 9th grade, as well as Monrovia Elementary School and Monrovia Middle School. District leaders say they made the decision to cooperate with the Madison County Sheriff's Office.
All right, here's a little history for you. 55 years ago today, history was made with the very first 911 call, and it happened right here in Alabama. Before that first call, citizens needed to dial local phone numbers to reach emergency services. A federal commission on crime recommended telephone companies develop a single phone number to call for emergencies. By the way, that first official call was made by a senator from Haleyville to test out the new system.
Across the country, unusual weather taking a toll on crops. The warm winter weather with a short Arctic spell has really doomed a lot of crops. John Maroney reports.
We're seeing more often strange weather patterns.
It's been a strange and costly winter at Wardsbury Farm. Sub-zero temperatures destroyed less than 6 acres of trees. Each crop is gone.
It's not nice and dark green inside. It's got a brown spot right there. And that spot is usually that it won't bloom.
Jim Ward and his family have only
Yeah, there's high wind here. Probably 40, 50 mile an hour wind approaching Lexington. May see some isolated wind damage there. And that's a pretty intense thunderstorm.
crop consultant Patrick Christianitis says farmers and plants need predictable
It's bowing out a little bit too. Shear rate, it's showing up. So again, I think we have some high wind moving into Lexington. I don't know. Yeah, this storm still, it's a survivor basically, but it's not doing much, except right there. It's got just a little bit of rotation.
We are gathering on the pilots lost in that Black Hawk helicopter crash and what we are piecing together along with investigators. And how to get your spending and credit card debt under control.
Yeah, so this storm here just continues to
Fire chief says they're taking
try.
pieces to Redstone to reconstruct.
So again, this is going to move across Smith Lake in about an hour or so.
Should be 3 lanes open on 53 about noon tomorrow.
But I mean, it's even quiet in Tuscaloosa, which is a real surprise to me because they got really warm today and unstable, but just too warm, I think. Too warm as far as the mid-levels go. I stress that. And you have to have an even warmer temperature at the surface in order to break that cap.
Right.
Our convective temperature was probably, 76, and we only hit 73.
And again, after that,
Won't be enough then.
Because it'll be noon.
I'm gonna write a comment in here.
Boy,
to
there's-
let them know that you were in a live newscast.
Yeah, I've done it a few times already. It makes multitasking very difficult.
I'm sure.
I mean, if the weather was a lot more pressing, we would be blowing out the newscast, so. When you get these situations, it's tough. So right now, the worst of the weather is near Pulaski up to Shelbyville and
Yeah.
moving towards Lexington and Anderson.
Look at all the lightning up there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. Yeah, that storm's definitely bowing out on the state line. So Pulaski, you may have some wind damage coming through.
What do you think, like max 55 mile per hour?
Probably 50, 55, yeah.
I do.
Oh, thanks.
No, I just needed to send an email and get an answer. But Tennessee National Guard.
All right.
You need anything, Brad?
No, I'm good.
Huntsville Executive Airport, because
Hmm.
they told me specifically that it
Boy, there's just a lot more rain coming in tonight.
so. No, it's Meridianville. Yeah. Redstone Field is Redstone.
Do you want this spring capture open?
Nah, we can close that. Fifteen seconds. That storm down there looks like it's getting absorbed.
I can hear.
One in 3 U.S. adults are now carrying credit card debt month to month. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Rachel Papa spoke with an analyst about the effect of that extended debt. More people are facing
New severe thunderstorm warning for that line up there in Tennessee. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we get wind damage from that tail end storm too. That's what you're seeing there on the radar now.
A big mistake that we saw in our survey is that a lot of people in debt are chasing rewards. How does that
Damage to homes and trees near North Bradley Road and Mount Lebanon Road. Possible tornado 7 miles west of Lawrenceburg just before 4 o'clock today. Etheridge had damage. These are all in Tennessee. Ping pong size hail, Williamson County near Nashville.
My top tip would be get a 0% balance transfer credit card. Move your existing high-cost debt over to this new card.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. So no break. Straight.
By the way, household debt in America is now the highest it has ever been. Last quarter, household debt hit a record $16.9 trillion. That is almost a $400 billion increase from the quarter before. Many experts believe this is because of the sky-high interest rates borrowers are paying at this point. Even more Americans are failing to pay back their loans as well. The delinquency rate is at 2.5%.
And again, today is a first alert weather day. The radar is very, very active at this hour. So let's get straight to Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis for a look at what he's seeing. Brad?
Yeah, this is going to turn into a very heavy rain event and may see some flash flooding late this evening and overnight tonight. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued up here into southern middle Tennessee, northern Giles County. Winds may be gusting upwards of 15 to actually 50 miles per hour or so with that area. I'm going to back this up and show you in and around Lexington as well near Highway 101. We probably have winds approaching 55, maybe even 58 miles per hour here with that storm, and that's going to continue to move through Lexington, just north of Anderson and on towards Leicester. Here's another look at the storm. So this, I think we probably have a severe thunderstorm here that doesn't have a warning out for it, moving through Lexington and on up towards 5 Points, moving towards Minor Hill. And the other area we're watching is just to the north of Pulaski there with that severe thunderstorm warning in place. So here's the way the radar looks right now. Some heavier showers and thunderstorms in and around Moulton. I think the threat of severe weather is going to wind down very quickly here within the next 40 minutes, if it hasn't already in the shoals. The reason some of these storms in Middle Tennessee are stronger, they're right on that front. They're really getting that upper level wind right across them, and that heavy rain's beginning to bring it down. We're going to go hour by hour through your forecast coming up.
And don't forget to stay prepared for the severe weather. If you scan the code on your screen, you'll be taken directly to our 48 First Alert Weather Day toolbox. Using that toolbox, you'll have direct access to the very latest forecast, a list of shelters across the valley, and even live weather cameras. If you can't scan your screen right now, you can find this toolbox on our homepage at WAFF.com. And we are starting to get reports in of storm damage to our west. This video is from Smith County, Mississippi, just east of Jackson. What you're looking at here used to be a chicken farm. Currently, no word on whether anyone was injured. Now, we know the names of both the Tennessee National Guardsmen who were killed when their helicopter crashed in the median of that very busy road just outside Huntsville yesterday. Chief Warrant Officer Daniel Wadham and Chief Officer Danny Randolph were the two guardsmen on that Black Hawk that crashed. Each had served in the military for more than a decade. The two were approaching Huntsville Executive Airport in Meridianville when their Black Hawk helicopter started to fall from the sky. Both were killed on impact. Federal and state investigators are now looking into exactly what caused that crash. And this is drone footage showing the crash site today along Highway 53 in Harvest. That crash, the chopper landed right next to drivers. Thankfully, no one on the ground was injured. The roadway still closed as investigators try to determine what caused that crash. WAFF 48's Matthew King joins us now live from the crash site. Matthew, just minutes ago, you learned some critical new information about the investigation.
Well, that's right, Liz. Right now, the state
Severe thunderstorm warning just issued for this storm here, right north of the state line. That's the one I was mentioning, moving through Lexington. And that's going to stay in Tennessee, it looks like, move towards Fayetteville, I would say by about 45 minutes.
that was a traumatizing experience. One told me she could see the flames rising over the cars in front of her. This was before she could see the rising smoke. Another witness shared
High wind here in northern, near Cortland as well.
here in just a moment, you'll be able to see the damage to the windshield as well as mud splatter on
That's just strong, gusty winds.
Deputies tell us there could possibly be more debris near the crash site. And Thomas Smith says he's searching his property.
We're probably going to see this tighten up a bit as the front continues to drop southeast. I don't see any tornado circulations right now, so that's good. And this storm down here just, it's not doing much.
Well, we talked to witnesses who first saw that crash as well as those who heard that crash. Their stories are more about that sense. Reporting live in Harvard, Matthew King, 48 on your side.
And on that note, Madison County schools will be delaying several schools from opening tomorrow to avoid traffic. Then we continue to learn more information about the men who killed 3 at Michigan State University. We're looking at today's news conference and much more. I guess we're looking at the press conference. We're looking at the press conference, news conference. Oh, it's news. We have no more newspapers in the country. That's the press. Remember the press on the newspaper? News conferences. Just a lot of.
Okay, everybody, I'm back. Getting ready for the main weather forecast here. Appreciate all you guys saying on here. Yeah, no sound. I had my mic off. Sorry. Yeah, we're probably going to see the shoals drop from the watch here pretty soon. There's no plan right now to extend the watch east after the current watch expires. Severe thunderstorm warning may be needed up here in Fayetteville. Storm in Jaspers just keeps on trying, but so far so good on that too. And we're probably going to see an increase in this activity moving into Decatur. Let me.
Is it too high up? Do I need to get back?
Okay. But that's going to take a while to move that far. Let's go ahead and high wind moving into Minor Hill and 5 points. Okay, that's going to be moving into Fayetteville here down the road. The storm's getting stronger again west of Decatur. Oh yeah, it's showing strong gusty winds in the upper levels just west of Hillsboro.
President Biden is shedding new light today on those 4 flying objects recently shot down over North America. This after lawmakers on both sides of the aisle pushed the president for more transparency. Alice Barr reports.
After days of mounting pressure, President Biden today breaking his silence on the Chinese spy balloon and 3 objects the U.S. military shot out of the sky in recent days.
Clear message. A violation of our sovereignty is unacceptable.
As recovery crews gather debris from the Chinese
Getting some flash flooding coming in out west now.
rationale for letting it fly across the country before shooting it down off the Carolina coast.
We were able to protect sensitive sites against collection. We waited until it was safe to deliver water.
He drew a contrast to the 3 smaller objects shot down over remote areas of Alaska, the Canadian Yukon, and Lake Huron.
Our military and the Canadian military are seeking to recover.
All right, we're starting to see thunderstorms kind of line up from Decatur to Moulton to Hamilton. It's still not giving up on that storm on I-22, I believe, near Jasper, moving northeast. But overall, the atmosphere is stabilizing as you get from Russellville to Florence and north and west.
With establishing parameters for dealing with aerial object sightings to prioritize what poses a threat. Lawmakers in both parties have been urging President Biden to explain what's going on.
Our cape's starting to break up now too.
Are safe.
just a few areas.
A Georgia grand jury says there was not widespread fraud in the 2020 election. The special grand jury was tasked with investigating election fraud and former President Trump's efforts to overturn the election. Today, a partially classified portion of their findings was released. It reveals the grand jury unanimously rejected Trump's claims of fraud. It also indicates that the grand jury will recommend several perjury indictments for witnesses who lied under oath. 75 different people testified, but the report did not indicate which witnesses the jurors believed were lying. The man who killed 3 people at Michigan State University purchased his guns legally. In a news conference today, police revealed new information about the notes found in the shooter's pocket. Those notes contain threats written to several businesses, a church, a school district on the other side of the country. 5 others were injured in that shooting. Luckily, school leaders say they are improving.
Watching that cell that's moving across Giles County, it's still bowing out.
As of right now, we still do not know the motive behind those shootings. A new monument is in the works to memorialize the very first civilian teacher to go into space. A memorial to Krista McAuliffe will be built inside the New Hampshire State House. McAuliffe was a crew member on board the 1986 Shuttle Challenger mission. She was killed when the shuttle exploded 2 minutes after takeoff. The governor of New Hampshire has formed an entire commission to oversee the design and the construction of her memorial.
Well, so far the setup has been much worse, at least the model guidance, than what we're dealing with now. But we're still not out of the woods totally. But I will tell you, out in the shoals, that threat of severe weather is really starting to drop as the front's moving in. But we still have a lot of rain to deal with late this afternoon and into the evening hours. 68 degrees in Decatur on our Breeze Camera Network, looking off to the west. Poor visibility, that's about the only issue. But the thunderstorm moving in, the winds are starting to increase. Tornado watch till 7 o'clock. Right now, no plans to extend it to the east into Jackson, Marshall, or DeKalb County. Here's what we're dealing with. New severe thunderstorm warning up here in Giles County, and that's going to be close for Fayetteville. And I've got a storm track for Fayetteville here in just a second. I mentioned the storms in around Decatur back to the west towards Moulton. These are getting a little stronger. And I think what's going to happen is as the front starts moving in, a similar situation is what we've seen in Middle Tennessee, where the winds may start to increase. And we're starting to see that here in Rogersville to the northeast. So eventually the front is going to link up with these thunderstorms down here to the south, and that's probably going to energize these as they track farther to the east. So again, we haven't had any reports of any wind damage here, but we have some flooding reports starting to come out. I believe those were out of Lawrence County. Very heavy rain here, and this is going to continue. So problems with flash flooding will be a big issue tonight. As we take a look here, we're looking at the wind here. More importantly, the Minor Hill area. These winds are starting to subside some, but we probably still have winds around 50 miles per hour. That's moving towards Elkton, should stay just south of Pulaski, and that may impact Fayetteville down the road here. You see Fayetteville at 6 o'clock, so about 40 minutes away. And then again, we're tracking some strong gusty winds with that area. Notice the area from Hillsboro, I was just mentioning this, Trinity, northwest side of Decatur, moving towards Tanner and eventually Madison. The lightning is going to pick up very heavy rain and some isolated damaging wind gusts can't be ruled out. You see what we're picking up here, those brighter colors indicating some strong gusty winds in the upper levels may be getting pulled down by that very heavy rain. So isolated damaging winds, 40 to 50 miles per hour possible with that. And as we get farther to the south and west, Red Bay, this thunderstorm is kind of increasing in intensity. We'll have to watch that. Again, the tornado watch continues through 7 o'clock. Here's a look at 6 o'clock this evening. Very heavy rain. I think our threat's probably over by 6 o'clock in Florence and Russellville, and it will continue to be over as this all tracks to the east with time. By 6:50, just before 7 o'clock, showers, a few strong thunderstorms possible, Scottsboro to Fort Payne, probably kind of like what you had on the northwest side of town just before midnight last night. A little bit of hail with that. as well. Decatur to Huntsville, Harvest, Monrovia, very heavy rain, and that rain will likely pick up in the Priceville, Decatur, Hartselle, and Falkville area around 7 o'clock as well. As we go into this 9 o'clock hour, you see a distinct change here in the colors. We start to go away from a severe weather threat to more of a heavy rain threat here as temperatures drop into the 40s and 50s. The wind picks up out of the northwest, so 11 o'clock tonight, heavy rain and flooding, and we could be dealing with that early tomorrow morning. We'll also be dealing with much colder air. Here's your 10-day forecast. 45 tomorrow, a morning low around 35, 27 degrees Saturday morning. All the roads will be dry by then, but we'll have to watch out. Maybe some patchy black ice with some of that groundwater coming back. Sunday, the best day of the weekend.
And another quick reminder, you can scan the code on your screen now to download our 48 weather app. Using our app, you'll get the latest updates from our team of meteorologists as we continue to track tonight's severe weather. And if you can't scan the screen right now, as I said earlier, don't worry. You can download the app using any major app store. A Birmingham institution could soon shut down. The financial failure that could close the college for good. And turning trash to treasure, how Mobile's Mardi Gras is actually helping a local school.
Well, the lightning is down. The tornado watch has just been canceled for Colbert, Franklin, and Lauderdale County.
I see it now, you actually need litter.
It continues until 7 o'clock for Coleman, Lawrence, Limestone, Madison, Morgan, Franklin, Lincoln, and more. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do both teases. Gotcha. Yeah, thanks. Why is the radar just on loop? That's pretty much what's routed in there. And we're in a newscast that makes things really complicated trying to go back and forth and route things over. It'd be a lot easier if I was just out in my garage doing the weather. What's going on in Giles County? Well, we've got a thunderstorm with a severe thunderstorm warning. Really heavy rain going on there. Strong gusty winds, but the lightning's coming down as well. This is the line I was mentioning. This one's pretty intense. And this other line here that's moving through Moulton and Decatur and eventually tracking northeast into Harvest, Monrovia, and Madison is probably going to intensify some with very heavy rain, isolated damaging winds possible. Not seeing any tornado signatures at all. Yeah, so after this, I'll do the teas, then I got to go do radio updates. It gets a little exhausting, to be honest, just to let you guys know. There's a lot going on that you don't see, multitasking. Here's that velocity. No rotation, but strong gusty winds. Most of this wind is south of Pulaski. It's going to pass between there and Elkton and probably end up on the north side of Fayetteville. 2 minutes and I'm at Keywall. Thank you. The Shelbyville storm's pretty intense. Again, these are all just tapping into the strong wind in the mid-levels.
The future of Birmingham Southern College is still up in the air today. School leaders need tens of millions of dollars to stay afloat. School leaders are asking lawmakers for $37 million in state funding to keep their doors open. To plead their case, they commissioned a study that shows the school pushes almost $100 billion into the state economy every year. School President Daniel Coleman says he hopes worthy of this investment?
Heartbreaking and economically for the city, because our impact over 10 years is close to $1 billion. We have about 17,000 alums and about 9,500 live in Alabama and about 6,600 work in Alabama. The economic impact of our alums is more like $211 million every year.
The school's endowment fund took a massive hit in the early 2000s when officials tried to renovate the campus. The school never recovered from that financial loss. Cruise and Mobile say they have already collected more than 4,000 pounds of litter left behind by this month's Mardi Gras celebrations. All that trash is going to be recycled. The city has a 12-person litter crew and it cleans up the streets after every celebration. Each year they collect thousands of pounds of beads. They donate those beads to a local special needs school that sorts them out, tags them, and resells them for a fundraiser. City leaders say it's a program the community has really gotten behind.
The city kept it going. We did a little bit in 2018, a little bit more in 2019, big numbers in 2020. 2022 blew it out of the water. This is something our community cares about. It's something the city of Mobile staff cares about, and they're willing to really make that investment.
And so far, $50,000 has been raised from those bead sales in recent years.
Wind picking up area-wide with some of the heavier rain moving through Moulton, Decatur, and on the way into the Huntsville-Madison metro area. Pulaski, severe thunderstorm warning for high winds. National Weather Service will likely continue that into Lincoln County. So if you're in Fayetteville, expect some high winds up to 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. The tornado watch has been dropped for the shoals. So Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin County, no longer under tornado watch.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much for watching at 5. More news here as it brings.
Going to have to watch northern Limestone County with this tail end of this storm up here as it's coming in. This is the front. So I can draw this line here. Right in here is probably where the front is. Moving east, we've got some strong gusty winds northwest of Moulton, out here west of Trinity and Decatur. And all this is tracking northeast towards East Limestone, Harvest, Monrovia, Madison, and Huntsville. And we've also got the high winds going into Fayetteville here within the next 35, 40 minutes. Aerial flood warning issued for Colbert and Lauderdale County until 8:30. Well, that line is getting stronger here. Right here and from Anderson to the north. So we still have to watch this. There's still wind shear out there. Sometimes when the sun sets, the atmosphere starts to cool, so we're going to have to watch for that too. So that's why sometimes, you wait all day and then all of a sudden things flare up because that cap gets removed by the setting sun as the upper levels cool. The watch in Huntsville should end at 7 o'clock. All right, I need to get this tease ready. Thunder picking up. They dropped the watch for the shoals. Eric, have a good one. Thank you for your help. Enjoy your Friday morning. This week has gone by really fast.
Has it?
Has for me.
I feel like it's dragged.
Oh, I've been super busy, so. Take it easy, Jeff. Yeah. All right, let's see. I'm putting something together. I've got to tape a tease before the 6 and then do radio. Did you just say something in my ear? Yeah, we'll do these at Keywall. I'm putting something together for us. We've got a lot of rain to deal with overnight. Man, this is really changed as far as the rainfall. It's going to go through at least 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to have flooding issues overnight tonight. Here comes severe thunderstorm warning for Lincoln County in Tennessee, indicating winds approaching 60 miles per hour with that storm. So Fayetteville, again, your weather radio, and even if you're in Limestone or Madison County, or where radio may go off if you have Lincoln County in it. Okay. Okay, let me get that done. Again, I'm working on another computer here real quick. Okay, can you guys take programming out of my ear? All right. Okay, I'm at the key wall with Max 1 ready.
Can I have programming in my ear?
Not if, just wait. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just something.
No. I won't be long.
I thought it was all the time.
All right, 3, 2, 1. As we go to the overnight hours, the threat for severe weather ends, and the let's redo that one. Threat. All right, 3, 2, 1. Overnight tonight, the threat from severe weather turns to the threat for flash flooding. Here's a look at 10 o'clock tonight. Winds pick up out of the northwest. Much colder air moves in. Could see widespread flash flooding, so be prepared for that for the morning commute. Details at 10. All right. Okay, is the 10-day forecast up yet? Okay, let me get it here. Ooh, cold tomorrow. All right. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Quick look at your 10-day forecast, what we're working on tonight. Just how cold is it going to get tomorrow? Flash flooding is an issue all the way through the morning commute, so be aware of that. 45 tomorrow, down to 27 Saturday. We'll talk about our next chance for showers and storms next week at 10. All right, thanks. Okay. That is done. And there were two of us meteorologists. The storms are getting stronger here right across the state line, but they're still not rotating. We're mainly looking at strong gusty winds. And this kind of bowing out here. But this is a pretty strong storm near Manchester. But again, these are all getting strong with high wind because of the upper level winds moving across. You get over here west of Decatur, there's some strong gusty winds. These are all in the upper levels most likely. But between Cortland and Moulton, isolated damaging wind gusts possible. And they've got strong thunderstorm impact in northern Limestone County through 6:15. So that's this storm up here. But let's check that velocity one more time. Yeah, strong. These gusty winds are picking up here in Cortland, west side of Athens, and in around Moulton as well. But there's just no spinning here. There's no twisting wind. And that storm near Jasper. Let's go down here to Tuscaloosa real quick. I mean, that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this has been. Oh, you walked in front of the camera. That's okay. Well, that's the hand tracking. Let me just turn that off. All right, hand tracking's off, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay. Okay, Chelsea, I don't know if you want to take over for a little bit. I'm going to go do radio updates. Chelsea will be with you guys here in just a few seconds. Crush another water bottle. What's that?
I said no problem.
All right. Well, I will be back in a few. Got the 6 o'clock news coming up as well. And the way things look, we probably won't continue streaming after our 6 o'clock newscast. We'll be here watching it, but really need a rest.
You have links up.
Yeah, Links is up.
I'll leave your mouse
Okay.
one alone. Okay, can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? Say yes if you can hear me. Hello, I'm seeing hello, so I'm assuming you can hear me. Is the storm south of Athens weakening? Again, we're going to pull this back out. The strongest of the storms that we have currently across the Tennessee Valley is going to be right across the Alabama-Tennessee state line. We are still seeing some lightning in other counties. This includes Lawrence County, just north of Moulton there. South of Portland, some cloud ground lightning going on, but this is not a severe storm. Don't get me wrong, it's probably noisy, but I'm thinking this storm here, the bark is going to be worse than the bite. A lot of this is becoming rain-filled. When you see all of these holes in the radar, and you see all of those holes start filling up with rain, we get this effect which is called rain-cooled air. You hear that a lot from Brad. We had a lot of instability in the entire region today. We're talking from the Gulf Coast all the way up to the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. And really you only need about 500 joules per kilogram of CAPE. CAPE is what we call instability, but we had well over 1,000. But essentially we had a cap on the atmosphere, And that really did not allow a lot of these storms to do what they were capable of under the environment that they were. So right now, mostly heavy rain, frequent lightning at times, especially in portions of Lawrence County. This spans through Morgan County into Athens. As far as the storm, I saw someone mention is the storm weakening near Athens. There is no weakening or strengthening trend. This is not a severe storm. It's noisy, but well below severe limits. The strongest storm we have at the moment in our viewing area, again, just to our north in portions of Lincoln County, Tennessee. This includes the Fayetteville and Bellevue area. Currently in Giles County, but we're going to see this storm start to continue to track north-northeast. This is why this severe thunderstorm warning has been extended. There is a lot of lightning with this storm, possibly some gusty winds at times. Again, I'm going to get a good sample on these winds real quick. This is our velocity tool, our storm relative velocity. It helps us look at the winds a bit more, but I want to reiterate, no rotation with these winds, but they will be gusty at times. We're looking at 40, 45 miles per hour. I'm not really seeing any winds in the 50 mile per hour range. Let me go ahead and clear that off for you and go back to the comments. How is the tornado outlook for the Athens, Madison, and Huntsville area? I will say all around the Tennessee Valley, the tornado threat is continuing to decrease. I mentioned this before, I will mention it again. You see all the rain that we have that is essentially pushing in from the south. Don't get me wrong, this rain will be heavy at times, and it likely is going to continue into the evening hours. That's where we're going to see the flash flooding threat. And we've talked about that for the past few days as well. Once our severe threat ends, it's going to be a heavy rain event. Well, what all that rain is doing is it's acting to cool the air, and it's acting to help stabilize the atmosphere. We had so much instability today, but all of this rain pushing in from the south, it's putting a cap on any severe storms to take off or develop really and then take off. So I would say, you know, someone asked tornado outlook for Athens, Madison, Huntsville area. We're seeing that tornado threat across the entire viewing area really decrease here in North Alabama. Athens has a lot of lightning. Yes, you'll see lightning. You'll see heavy rain at times, but only severe storms we have at the moment right across the state line in Tennessee. Giles County, this storm is moving into Lincoln County, Tennessee, heading towards Fayetteville. Wind gusts 40, 45 miles per hour, but nothing really more than that. Will the Giles County storm make its way toward Winchester? It likely is going to go north of Winchester. It's moving north-northeast. I can get an exact speed on that in just a few seconds. But again, it is trending north-northeast. And I'm not thinking that movement will go more eastward. So it likely will just pass north of Winchester. You might get some outskirts of that heavier rain. Might hear some claps of thunder in the distance, but you'll probably miss the brunt of the winds. It's moving east at 35 miles per hour. I say it has a bit of a more northeast direction. Again, I'm reading this from the National Weather Service. And I'm just going to go ahead and put on a hail track here too, just to see if we are getting any hail out of this storm. Regarding the updraft. So let's go to hail swath. It is producing some hail. I would say maybe penny size hail. I would not go much larger than that. If you do live in these areas, please let me know what you are seeing. That's a good way for us to pass along that information to the National Weather Service. Yeah. Pretty small hail, but still nonetheless. It is a severe thunderstorm warning. This is again for Giles County, also Lincoln County. And I'm going to go back over here to the comments and answer some more questions for y'all. Well, thank you, Madison. Let me know what you're experiencing in Lincoln County. I don't know exactly where you're located in Lincoln County, but let me know if you're seeing some hail, how big it is. Send us some pictures too. That really helps us out when we pass this information along. Oh, thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. What's the Jasper storm doing? So we were watching the Jasper storm not too long ago. Brad had a good eye on it. Essentially, that Jasper storm, let's go down to it. It's about to move into Coleman County. But you've heard me say before, I'll say it again. All of this rain, all of those radar holes are filling up. So the atmosphere and environment is becoming more and more stable. That's what happened to this Jasper storm. Don't get me wrong, heavy rain, might even have some gusts, some wind gusts in there. Also noticing some lightning strikes, but it is really losing its overall look. It did kind of have a curved feature there. That's why we wanted to watch it. But, well, there are a good bit of winds there. Let me go ahead and change it to our Birmingham radar. I'm just going to get a good sampling of the winds here, because there are some winds. Again, this is that Jasper storm. You notice we've been saying this all day. This is from our Barron products. It has a BTI. This is the Barron Tornado Index of a 2.1. This is a scale from 0 to 10. It has it registering as severe. Possibly some hail in this. I would say winds maybe upwards of 45. This could be a 50-mile-per-hour wind, but we don't know exactly if those winds are reaching all the way to the surface. We have had a lot of mid-level wind today. But see if it reaches the surface, that's the big kicker. I will say, heads up Coleman County nonetheless, as again, this continues to track north-northeast, is moving pretty quickly, 40-45 miles per hour. It likely will clip Jones Chapel right around 6:15, so in the next 30 minutes, give or take. But no severe thunderstorm warning on this storm. If there was a severe thunderstorm warning, it would come from the National Weather Service office in Birmingham. I'm going ahead and checking more comments. Let's see. Sand Mountain Magic looking likely. People were asking about the Sand Mountain Magic last night as well. Again, I will keep on saying it, but the overall severe threat is becoming less and less likely as we can continue to see more and more rainfall. This is going to turn into essentially a rain and flooding event as we head later into the evening. Strongest storm we have in our viewing area still remains to be Lincoln County, Tennessee. That storm has pushed from Giles County, Tennessee, now moving just south of Pulaski Highway there. If we go to our road view, Old Elkton Pike. And again, if you live in these areas, let us know what you're seeing. I will say the hail core has jumped up a bit here. So I'm going to go back to our hail and just sample some of this. It is showing bigger hail, so maybe nickel-sized hail now with this storm. But no spinning of the winds. Winds will be gusty at times, but there is no turning, there is no twisting. This looks like mainly a big noise maker, some hail mixed in there, very heavy rainfall. Heavy rainfall is going to continue as we head into the evening. Some winds with that Jasper storm has picked up, Brad.
Oh, it sure has.
Yeah. Someone just asked about it. Nothing on it from Birmingham. The shear
Yeah.
rate's picked up too.
Yeah, I got radio done, so we're good there. Yeah, let's get a better look at that storm. Let's see, what are we looking at? This is high top. It's going to be pretty far away from high top.
Birmingham view is not the best.
Yeah, it's this storm's rotating, moving towards Smith Lake, and this kind of coincides with what we were looking at.
No severe thunderstorm warning on it though. It's kind of
Yeah, they'll probably get a severe thunderstorm warning soon on that. Shear rates picking up. So again, this storm moving into Coleman, heads up. It's kind of in that radar dead zone. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a total dead zone, but this storm is rotating, moving into Coleman. So let's get a storm track on that.
it tightened up quick.
It sure did. Again, this is just how fast these
Just
things
looked
can
at
change.
that.
Okay, I'm gonna send out a tweet.
While you do that, I'm going to go ahead and see if the National Weather Service in Birmingham is monitoring this. Some weak rotation and low levels near Jasper. Not much of a meso-aloft. Man, that thing wrapped up in 5 minutes or less. Again, we are continuing to track the overall threat. We're not saying that it's non-existent. It has been lower due to some rain-cooled air, but we do have some storms coming out of Jasper into Coleman County. This is Walker County into Coleman County, and we need to watch this closely. We also have the severe thunderstorm warning in Lincoln County, Tennessee. This is producing hail, some 45 mile per hour wind gusts, heavy rain at times.
Okay, I just sent that out on Twitter. Okay. So we've got that storm, and then we've got the storm moving into Fayetteville with damaging straight line winds possible.
Let's see.
So again, this is a storm to watch if you live in Arab, Joppa. I'm working on some other stuff for the main show here. There's some gusty winds here in Athens as well on the southwest side.
Yeah, people were asking me about the storm in Athens.
Yeah, this storm looks like it's got a little bit of broad rotation here west of Fayetteville now.
I'm going to clear this if you're all right with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Get on this. Yeah. What is this on? BMX.
And Monday, Tuesday for Madison County Schools near the choppers.
Mic check. There comes a warning for something. Flash flood warning, Franklin Lawrence. Well, no, we're going to keep it going. We got this storm increasing in intensity, moving into over Smith Lake.
Coleman County.
All right, well, stay back there then.
Yeah. What's that moving? About 40? It looks like it's moving about 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, I can get you a good time on that. 40.
Okay.
Well, they have 30, but I would say 35, 40.
What is this Jaquan here? Is this not formatted right? What is?
Okay.
Did you turn off hand tracker?
I turned it off. Yeah, it's off right now.
You want to set it back up for your show?
Yeah, go ahead, just in case
Okay.
this increases. Yeah, that's a tough storm right there to get a good view of.
The Coleman, yeah, very hard.
There's really strong winds moving right across that whole area. Pardon me.
You're talking Coleman now? Tell me real quick so I can change what I'm saying.
I wonder if we'll get a tornado warning for Lincoln County.
Okay, it's up. It's connected.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
Where are you talking about now? You're looking at Smith Lake?
We're looking over Smith Lake and we're looking over
Lincoln.
just west of Fayetteville in Lincoln County.
These storms are trying their hardest.
I think that storm moving into over Smith Lake is is a severe storm.
Yeah, Birmingham. So hard to see.
Now, as this gets closer to the next rat in Jackson County, you're going to see more details on it.
The one in Lincoln County doesn't look half bad.
No, it's probably, it's got a bit of a comma head on it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You're up and running.
A lot of lightning here in Florence as well. All right.
Did you stop this?
Hi again, everyone. We are tracking storms in the valley right now. Brad Travis is here. You are tracking two specific storms in two different states.
Yeah, up in Tennessee, the Fayetteville storm, it's showing a little bit of rotation right now. There's a severe thunderstorm warning out for it. The possibilities there for damaging straight line winds. That's tracking off to the east and northeast. And there's another storm moving over Smith Lake, and we're going to get there in just a second. A lot of lightning picking up here northeast of Florence towards Killen. The tornado watch was dropped, though, for Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin County. We have severe actual flash flood warnings going out for some of those areas now. Very heavy rain in Fayetteville. You get out Highway 64. That's where we're dealing with the stronger thunderstorm aspect of it. A lot of wind there. But it's this storm down here just on the south side of Smith Lake near the dam that's tracking northeast that we're going to have to watch closely. Again, forecast guidance was showing these vorticity, these helicity tracks, we call them, in these areas about this time. So that's another reason we'll watch this close. Also watch this in Joppa and Arab. Could be in town within the hour. Also Albertville around 7:18. So the bigger view showing strong thunderstorms developing down here to the southwest where the instability is a little higher, but those will still continue to move to the northeast. And even though you're not under a tornado watch in Marshall, Jackson, or DeKalb County, there's still a chance these storms will come in and they could be rotating. We'll keep a close eye on it. We'll continue our stream on our Facebook Live as well.
And don't forget to stay prepared for severe weather. You can scan the code you see right here on your screen. You'll be taken directly to the 48 First Alert Weather Day toolbox. And using that toolbox, you'll have direct access to the very latest forecasts, a list of shelters across the valley, and even live weather cameras. If you can't scan your screen right now, you can certainly find this toolbox on our homepage of WAFF.com. This is new footage in from central Kentucky. As you can see here, heavy rain from today's storms left a school bus stranded. Luckily, a local farmer with a tractor helped guide that school bus out of the floodwaters. We now know the names of those two Tennessee National Guardsmen killed in that helicopter crash in Madison County yesterday, and new details about what happens next in this investigation. According to the Tennessee National Guard, Chief Warrant Officers Daniel Wadham and Danny Randolph were killed in yesterday's crash. Each of them served in the military for more than a decade. A Guard spokesperson says the two were approaching Huntsville Executive Airport when their Black Hawk helicopter dropped from the sky. Both of them were killed on impact. This is drone footage showing the crash site along Highway 53 in Harvest. That chopper landed right next to drivers along that roadway. Thankfully, no one on the ground was injured. The road, though, still closed at this hour as investigators try to understand exactly what happened. WAFF 48's Matthew King joins us live along Highway 53. Matthew, you have learned some really critical details on where this investigation goes from here.
You're exactly right, Liz. Around 4 p.m. this afternoon, first responders escorted the remainder of those pieces that they scrounged together, and they're bringing that to a hangar at Redstone Arsenal. Now, what they plan to do there is they plan to reassemble the copter best they can in order to reassemble it and investigate the pieces and try to figure out what exactly caused yesterday's crash. Now, for those who saw that crash yesterday, they described their experience as traumatizing. Yesterday's crash is broken into Joe Bice's head.
That's horrific. Yeah, it's horrific. We've never seen anything like that. That's rare to hear about a Black Hawk project.
Bice says he heard the helicopter flying overhead before a loud boom.
We all have our houses, and so some smoke over there on the road.
His home is so close to the crash, he could see and even smell the destruction.
It was immediately ball of flame, and then the black smoke just engulfed our neighborhood right over here.
I talked to multiple witnesses who said they didn't want to go on camera because they're still traumatized by the situation. One woman drove right past the crash. Debris covered her car and her windshield had a hole in it. Another woman said she could see the flames over the cars in front of her.
Yeah, that rotation's probably too broad, but there's isolated damaging wind there. Really strong winds here in Athens. Check that out. 63 miles an hour. Let's check our camera network over there. Severe thunderstorm warning for Coleman County. Tornado possible indicated in that.
Fire and rescue spokesperson tells me the road will remain closed tonight, but officials hope to get 3 lanes open on 53 by tomorrow around noon. We'll keep you updated as that comes along. Reporting live in Harvest, Matthew King, 48 on your back.
Thank you, Matthew. Speaking of that timeline, 4 Madison
fading.
County schools near the helicopter crash site will be opening with a 2-hour delay tomorrow. The idea is to alleviate traffic
don't think that
problems
wind
along
is reaching the
Jeff Road
surface.
with Highway 53 still closed. Those are Sparkman High, Sparkman 9th grade, Monrovia Middle, and Monrovia Elementary. Again, starting 2 hours later than normal. Dismissal time will not be impacted. Now to the courts. Prosecutors and defense attorneys worked a double murder trial, and they rested their cases today in a Limestone County courtroom. Today, Dr. Valerie Green, a medical examiner, took the stand in Joshua Copeland's trial. She spoke about the drugs found in the bodies of Damian Ricketts and Devin Richard during an autopsy. Ricketts and Richard are the 2 men Copeland is accused of murdering. Defense attorneys say Copeland shot them because the 2 men pointed a gun at him during a drug deal. That gun turned out to be a BB gun. The defense tried to get the case dismissed, claiming the prosecution didn't prove Copeland's actions weren't in self-defense. The judge rejected that motion, and the defense rested its case. The jurors will be back tomorrow morning for closing arguments. 2 men will spend more than a decade behind bars for their involvement in a prison meth operation. Lamar Graves Jr. and Derek Traylor both pleaded guilty to operating a drug operation inside Staten Correctional Facility in Elmore. Graves was sentenced to almost 15 years in prison, while Traylor was sentenced to more than 20. Graves was an inmate at Staten. He would use friends and his family members, like Traylor, to smuggle meth in from the outside. 2 others are facing charges in this case but have not gone to trial. This month marks 13 years since 3 people were killed by a disgruntled professor at UAH. Today, we spoke to Dr. Kimberly Hobbs, a survivor of that shooting. She says she was working as a PhD student when everything happened. Her mentor, Dr. Adriel Johnson, was actually killed in that shooting. Dr. Hobbs says she actually saw the shooter that tragic day.
To pray a lot, I had to just kind of get what I needed to move forward, and it was hard. Like I said, a lot of tears, a lot of not understanding why that happened. Maybe not so why did I survive, but why did this happen? Because I did actually walk past her that morning. Because, I saw her, so it was just like, Lord, I was appreciative that His grace was over me and I was protected, and it was just a lot.
Dr. Hobbs went on to say forgiveness and prayer are the most valuable tools to overcome pain. The woman responsible for that attack, Amy Bishop Anderson, is serving a life sentence in prison. State lawmakers are reworking how prisoners get out of jail early in Alabama. Political reporter Aaron Davis has an in-depth report from Montgomery, getting the latest information straight from lawmakers. Then we're talking to local leaders here in the Valley about how they plan to keep you in the know during severe weather.
All right, issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Coleman County, but that storm has showed some signs of weakening. So that's some good news. So again, as it gets closer to the radar, and a lot of these high winds, they're not making it all the way to the ground. I've been looking at our Athens camera, and it's not very windy right there. Let's see here. Oh, there's no hype with this. It just didn't happen. And some of you are unhappy about that, and there's nothing I can do about that. We're still here, though. We're still working. If it was all about hype, I wouldn't have been on here for 4 or 5 hours tracking the storms for you guys. It's not completely over yet either. Anderson, I guess you came late to the party, saying this is the worst weather coverage in history. We're in the middle of a newscast. If you were really concerned about the weather, you'd have been here 4 hours ago. Anyway, all right, we're about to the end of our coverage here online anyway. So I'm just going to shut it down. I appreciate all you guys hanging out here. If anything else kind of pops up, we'll be back on for it.
What did you just say?
I'm just like, done.
I'm with you 100%. I saw how nice they were immediately after you said we're done. They're pretty ugly.
Oh, I know. I don't even want to deal with them. That's why I got off, because it's like I don't want
Plus, they were
to.
like, she's talking about rain, cool air. We haven't gotten any rain in Pisgah today.